Hello, men. Hello, Mgtows. This is a regular Sunday morning broadcast of what used to be Zetas, or still is Zetas, Hangout, Health and Science. Today we'll be talking about male mother need. We're going to be talking about a variety of subjects. Mgtow light. We'll probably get into pussy begging and that stuff and how that relates to male mother need. Today I got it in Shining so far, and Viking Mgtow. Me and Viking Mgtow have had a chat before, uh, and I find him very interesting. And I'll just introduce Viking Mgtow now. Hello, Viking.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm kind of a new guy around here. I was introduced to the community at large via Nico's encouragement, and I'm joining here today because of certain people said I have some things to say about all this. So the topic was male modern need. Uh, that's how I was introduced to the podcast this time, at least.
Okay. Yeah. Do you think? I often say on my videos that male mother need is not real into an aspect. It's not real to an older man. It shouldn't be real to an older man. The way I see this thing is, we're born with a certain amount of male mother needs so we can breastfeed. There's certain chemicals involved with that, and then we need our mothers until a certain age, and then we transcend to our fathers, and our fathers are supposed to they're supposed to show us the way of the world, take us out, show us how to hunt in this thing, and that's when the male mother need should end in most males. But uh, I find in modern society where most people are pampered and most people are things are way easy comparatively to any other time in history or period of history in the world, and some of this male mother need just continues on and continues on till late ages, even in college, and then these men take this into their formative years, and they never really relinquish that desire to have someone like their mother in their life. Do you find that to be true also?
Yeah, but I've got a sort of different perspective on the matter there.
Okay.
I I don't think it's for themselves that they look for a mother figure in their life. I think it's because they look for a mother figure for their future children.
Their future children. Okay, that makes sense.
But I think that I think that entire thing goes sort of wrong in the heads of a bunch of people, and they misinterpret that sort of uh, desire to find a mother. They misinterpret that they're looking for a mother for the future child and interpret it as looking for a mother for themselves.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think that's a maturity thing, a problem where they can't quite grow out of that phase of their life where they got a caregiver. And there's a lot of there's a lot of societal issues related to that, how we're constantly being kept from taking charge of our lives and things like that that could sponsor that theory from a societal perspective at least.
Yeah, there is a difference between need and want too. When we're a child, we need to have certain figures in our lives, or we'd simply die. Uh, Want is something totally different, and desire is so totally different. I always say that's a mechanicism. That's something that's kind of clicks in and out as we need it. A desire. Uh, it's got to be kept in check. As a mature male, you want to keep these things in check, but I don't see that with the PUA crowd. I don't see that with some of the crowd that comes in. Their desire has overtaken their sense of any good senses that they may have, and then it just becomes a problem for not for them because they may get what they want, but it becomes a problem for other men around them and the perception of how other men perceive these men.
I don't know. I don't know about the perception thing. That turns really complicated
Yeah, yeah, it does.
when you start to talk about the perception of yourself from other people. It turns into a big mess that's way too hard to get into. But
Yeah.
if we try to simplify things to, let's say, what people want out of this, if we go back to the whole what they want out of a mother figure and the whole immaturity thing.
Okay. Now I was just looking at this morning. I was looking at Rosh V's opinion of what he wants. Uh, it's very disturbing and it's very telltale. Uh, it it, it kind of it just leads me to believe that what's the word I'm looking at? It leads me to believe that he may be his desires are just overtaken his good sense, and then it's become this disillusionment with society. Like there's a group of people that are actively trying to hurt him, and uh, it's just really confusing with him. I read some quotes that he made, and they were very bizarre. What do you take with that kind of PUA and the gentle cross between PUA and MGTOW?
Well, I wouldn't exactly say that PUAs have anything to do with Mgtow, but I guess that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
I believe that uh, they still seek that sort of validation from women, and that should at least be something that Mgtow are over. So I don't quite see how they're related.
yeah. We get a lot of PUAs around that, and it's always the same thing. It's always the I'm a man going my own way, so I can choose my path, and even if that path takes me back to traditionalism, I can choose that path, being a man, and that's a misconception of MGTOW. I always say it's plural, men going their own way, and it's the group idea is we don't do those things no more. We've matured out of them. Uh, we don't try to gain validation from women, but that seems to be all they're concerned with. Is Shining in the room today?
Yeah, yeah, I'm right here. Listening, catching up. Are we on the issue of male mother need yet?
Yes, we're on a male mother need,
Have,
and what would you explain this as? How would you see this thing?
well, you see, the problem I have with male mother need, I think first of all we need to define what we mean by male mother need. Obviously,
Yeah,
we'll let Viking put it into his words, but the problem I have with male mother need is these guys. I was recently told, what's his name, Stardusk, was one of the ones that brought it into the front line. As I understand it, these guys, they're trying to explain male mother need in linking with men's need to have sex. Now that to me sounds a little bit incestuous. See,
yes, it
that's the
does.
problem I
Yeah,
have. Now the thing is, when we think about our mothers, we don't think about sex at all. The way she holds us, the way she kisses us, the way, everything she does, she does with us as children has absolutely nothing to do with sex whatsoever. But when these guys are describing male mother need, they're describing it in terms of what men look for in women whom they have sex with.
yeah,
See, that's my problem with it. That's because I think that's absolutely ridiculous. How can you link the two? Unless you really do see your mother as a sexual object, which I think is very disturbing. Now the second issue I have with it is, sorry, I'll just do these two issues and then I'll let Viking speak.
okay.
Is the fact that no, and I'll let him address the first one, so we don't
Yeah, is
on
it an
this.
edifice complex that you're talking about? The edifice complex? There's kind of a sickness there, isn't there?
Viking.
Oh, right. Well, when it comes to that perspective of seeing Oedipus complex and things like that in the drive to find a mother figure, I don't think they're related at all. I thought of it more like sampling the godliness of the woman for the sake of the future child, so you have some kind of frame of reference to go towards when trying to assess how this woman is going to treat your offspring.
Yeah.
That's the sort of the most logical connection I can find between the two without making it weirdly sexual.
But you see, the problem with that is the way I've cuddled and held and touched my girlfriends or my ex-wives is completely different to the way that my mum used to. Now the thing is, I don't think now that I don't think you can confuse the two. Now, when you say that, when we look for a potential partner in a woman, we look for a woman that's going to look after our children, and they're going to have this very motherly quality. In a way, I can understand that, but in a certain way, I don't think men look at that at all. I don't think that's something that enters into a man's mind. You know, we're looking at a woman. For example, if we go into a place and there's like 100 women there, do we say which one of these women most looks like my mother? Which one of these women most behaves like my mother? I don't think men think that way.
Right.
No, of course not. But that's just the thing I mean by, let's see, you gotta separate these two. I think men are sort of encouraged to find a woman in their life to, you know, the whole thing of fixing your entire life by including a woman in it. You can see this in all sorts of TV shows and
Mm-hmm.
in all sorts of stories. Uh, Society at large think of women as fixers of everything, and it's not a weird thing to think that that's going to bleed over into how men view women as fixers, and they seek that sort of a thing for their life. I'll leave the floor open here.
I don't think so. You see, when you mentioned that you know when TV portrays and films portrays and you know modern culture portrays, I would say that TV, modern culture films do not accurately represent what men and women actually are. I mean, if we watch like a rom-com, you know, relationships are nothing like that. You know, Meet the Parents, you know, Meet the Fockers, and you know, Friends, and you know, men and women just aren't like that. That's a dramatized, sensationalized version of what men are like and what women are like, and. You know, I don't think men are thinking that way. You know, when we approach a woman, for example, what we find attractive in a woman, what we find attractive in the sense that we see something in a woman and we think, oh, this is a woman, that she's a keeper. Now, I think if we took, for example, two women, there was one woman, she was very caring, she was very motherly and very, you know, soft, but she was like our mother in that, you know, we didn't really see her as a sex object. And there was another woman. She was very cruel and she was very distant, very harsh, but she was great at sex. I'm telling you, every man, 99% of the men would choose the second. Now, of course,
Yeah,
that's
the
just me
sexual.
now.
Yeah, the sexy
Yeah,
woman.
but that's just the thing. That's when they're looking for a sexual partner, for one. But I want to address what you said earlier. Uh, I think that men have a skewed vision of how women are like. I mean, you wouldn't get these many divorce cases or broken families if men had an accurate view of how women are like. And that's just my point. That's why,
Yeah, I think it's artificial selection. I think you're right in a real sense that we get these false opinions by media, or women generally get a false opinion of men, of what a man should be by media and by what they look around. We live in a society right now that is totally artificial to what we're supposed to live in. Uh, we're not in the woods. We're not hunting. We're not warriors anymore. Uh, we built a society to accommodate billions and billions of people, but it doesn't mean that it's what biology intended us to be. When I look at this thing, I always say we hate in our parents what they're not. When I look at my mother and I look at my father, I loved them for what they were, but I hated them for what they were not. And that's how I judged how I wanted to pick a woman that would have children for me in the future. I wanted to correct those defects that I seen in the genetics before me, because I know I have that same genetics. So there was a real need for me to pick a woman that was nothing like my mother in a sense, or pick a woman that didn't have those qualities that I didn't like in a woman. When I look around, when I look around the world, the first thing you notice boys do is they say, "Oh, look at that woman. She looks like a whore. Look at this woman. Look at the way she's dressed. Look at that woman. Look way." And you develop by negation what you like. You're excluding women.
The issue of natural selection, artificial selection, I think is an interesting one. Now, we talk about it. I've heard talk about it. Like there's a system, there's some formula, there's some procedure that men and women have in selecting what they find attractive, in selecting what they find as a good partner. Now, I would say that no such a thing exists, which is why I think the PUA is absolutely ridiculous. I think the PUA, having this sort of like technique where women are going to find you. Yeah, you can improve your confidence, and everybody will speak to someone who's confident a lot more easier than someone who's just stammering, stuttering, and falling over his words. But generally speaking, I don't think you can put your finger on what somebody will choose as a partner. I think generally everybody has very unique tastes, which is why I've always said that there's somebody for everybody. There's people that like fat people that like old, people that like young, and people that like rough and gentle. It goes right across the board. I don't think there's this one standard where you can say, okay, women like this, all women like this, all women like that, because generally speaking, you're going to find a big portion that don't, except for the fact that generally speaking, women are hypergamous. They like to have men that are better looking than them, have more wealth, a fitter, a better status. Generally speaking, I think that's the only one that does work. So I think all other types of natural selection, I think, are false.
Okay, hey Zeta, how are you doing today?
Oh, just tuning in, guys. Good morning, and how's everybody now?
Good.
Yeah.
Greetings to you, Zeta.
Yeah. What's that?
I says greetings to you, Zeta.
Oh, greetings, and greetings to you too.
Have you been listening to what we've been saying?
I've just tuned in. Yeah, talking about male mother need, heavy topic, and I think it's got to get hammered down. Very important. Yeah. It's a really cue into.
Well, what was interesting was Messenger's video. Obviously, he made a video in response to Stardust and what's his name, Salucci, that men, they need a cuddle. So they, men have this male mother need. So Mgtow, they need to address this need. We need to address this need. We need to say, okay, men have this need. So what do we do about it? We can't go monk. I say we can. I say you can do. You can go. Whether you're religious or atheist, I think you don't necessarily need this type of affection. I know TFM. He tried to address it by saying, okay, there's no male mother need, but I think he tried to word it in that there's this vulnerable. Men have a need to be vulnerable, which I think is quite different. If TFM's listening, maybe he can jump in. I think that's going way off the line when it comes to male mother need. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I see male mother need as, from a mature male's viewpoint, I don't have male mother need anymore. I don't have zero need in my life for a woman. When I look at, if I do bring a woman around, I bring her around for purposeful things. and I don't want to go into what those purposeful things are at my age, but that's the only reason. When I was younger, this thing changed a little for me. I grew out of it, and maybe I didn't grow fast enough. And you're right. What Mgtow is saying is, man, we can cap this thing at a very young age, and then you can start being more productive in your life.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think I can speak for the whole younger perspective, being 24 years old and all.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't really feel the need at all to involve women in my life. Uh, I don't feel like I need any sort of comforting figure or anything like that. I mean, I used to feel that way before I got into MGTOW and all this sort of stuff, but since that time, I've sort of reevaluated things and come to the decision that that's not something I need. That's not even something I want. It will just be a complicating burden upon my life.
yeah. So is Mgtow the cure for this?
I think it
Well,
is.
Well, that's interesting because there's a portion of MGTOW that think, well, if we learn about women, if we learn about women's nature, we can distance ourselves from women and we can sort of control how we deal with women. So therefore, we can have relationships with women and not get into all that shit of getting dragged through the courts, getting false accusations, getting raped through the coals. But then there's another portion of MGTOW that say, no, we understand women in terms of we don't need that. We don't need them at all. We don't need their blowjobs. We don't need their vaginas. We don't need
Right.
their male mother need. You see, I mean, anyone that hasn't seen Messenger's video yet, I think they should well watch it. The comment section alone is worth watching the video. It's
Yes, it
called
is.
"Women Are Misunderstood" and Mgtow Needs a Cuddle. I think you really see the contrast between the Mgtow that want to still have women in their lives and the Mgtow that think no, understanding women will help you remove women completely from your lives.
Yeah, well, saying understanding women, you're still focusing on women, and that's our complaint, isn't it? These guys they generally focus on women in their lives while they're trying to talk about themselves.
Hmm.
It seems hypocritical, or at least a little weird.
I mean, for me, you and Zeta, I think it's a little bit condescending because we're from that stage where we're a bit older now and we've been through it. I mean, we've seen just how nasty women are and just how destructive the relationships are. But I mean, Vikings point that speaking on behalf of the 24-year-olds, yeah, I can remember being 24. It's not easy. It's not easy, and I understand that, which is why we're using the language that we do. We're not saying it out of hatred and out of anger and no, none of us have said hurt women or hit women or that's not our message. Our message is this is what women are like. If you understand women this way, you'll know that you'll have nothing to do with them. That's why we say and we make the videos that we do.
And that's the other thing too, just to add to that, Shining. Being 24 today is not like when we were 24 back in our day. Okay, we're in a totally different time. I mean, Joe and I can probably relate. We're in the same age, but back in those days, there was, we had condomless sex, right? They had just figured out the cure for gonorrhea, and I think it was syphilis, and there was a period in history there. Man, we were just going. I mean, I know I was, right, and those were my PUA days, right? But the other thing I just wanted to add to is being able to distinguish the difference between the bonding, okay, and sex, okay, because I got those two confused when I was in my 20s there, and I think that's the important thing about the focus about this discussion, being able to distinguish between the two, about the horny and getting laid, or the bond that keeps the whole thing together, right?
Hmm.
Okay, yeah, there is a real difference between emotional bonding, and that goes down to, excuse me, including someone in your kinship bonds, isn't it? Uh, and that's a big mistake from the beginning. Uh, we include uh, we include people in these kinship bonds,
Mhm.
and when really women that we meet on the street, the average ordinary woman, She has no kinship bond to us. There's nothing there. That we shouldn't feel these things.
Mm. Well, what is interesting though, I mean, in support of Viking, he seems to be a bit shy today. In support of Viking,
No,
they
no,
did.
I'm just shy also. I'm kind of this. The elders are speaking. I need to listen.
Oh no no no!
No, please don't.
Yeah yeah. Please, if you've got something to say, then you go ahead, because we specifically invited you on because you had the opposing view of what we had. So I think Nico said he was going to jump in. I know he's on the side of the male mother need, the positive side, but in support of that, they did do a study. I know in the UK they did a study. I'm sure they did it in other parts of the English-speaking world, where a couple of universities, they did a study on what people found attractive, and they did find quite a large portion of young men and young women found people that looked like their mothers and fathers attractive, which was quite strange to me, and that actually was quite disturbing because I actually find the opposite. You know, anyone that looks like any relative of mine, it's like that's completely off-putting, and it's so strange. It's like they did a study of like 1,000 women, and they showed them like pictures. Obviously, each test had to be tailored to each individual person, and they showed them pictures of men that looked like their father and their brothers, and pictures of men that didn't look anything like their brothers and their fathers. And I think it was something like 40 to 60% of women chose men that looked like their brothers or their fathers as potential mates. So I don't know what to read in that.
Well, that's weird as shit to me as well. So I don't really get that at all.
Yeah, but would you say, Viking, that you're generally attracted to, for example, we won't say what, but whatever race or nationality you are, do you think you're more attracted to like Swedish women or women of your own? I hate to use the word race, or someone that looks, from your like skin color or from your, hair color, eye color. Would you say that woman is more attractive to you generally, or someone who's like the opposite? Like, I presume you're a white Swedish guy, so maybe a black woman. I'm saying both attractive. Both. So imagine like a black attractive girl, or a attractive Indian girl, or would you prefer like a white attractive Swedish-looking girl?
Yeah, but that's just the thing. I don't know if this says anything about me, but or rather, this only says something about me. Uh, yes, I would actually prefer someone who is looking. It's not so much a race thing as I don't know what to call it, but the more similar, the easier the attraction is. But aside from that, I can't really say anything.
Yeah, Roosh. I was reading through that Roosh thing, and I kind of copied down almost exactly what you were saying, and I found it very strange the way he looks at his attraction. Let me read it real quick here.
Go.
And this is his top article from this morning. Uh, I was being serious about my attraction to Ethiopian girls. I don't normally like black women, but Ethiopian women are quite beautiful. I could see myself making love to them and experiencing heightened pleasure from it. That's the way he thinks about it. It was boiled down to a heightened pleasure from making love to an Ethiopian girl. the,
Yeah, you see, that's strange because I mean, Viking, he just admitted he likes people that look, very much like they belong to his. Let's face it, family. He prefers the white Swedish girls, but that would support the male mother need thing, because obviously someone that looks like your
No,
mother.
Shiny, it isn't about looks. It's about it's sort of about personality when I'm speaking about male modern need. That's got nothing at all to do with looks. It's about the
yeah,
whole you're looking for a mother figure, and that's not your mother because we're naturally inclined to look for someone who is genetically different from our mother, of course. Otherwise, we would have died out long ago with incest and all that. But what I'm saying is, you look at what your mother gave you, and when you're looking for your sexual partner, if you're actually looking for a mother rather than just pleasure, you're gonna look for certain characteristics, such as, this is what my mother did for me, this is what she lacked, I want her to have what my mother lacked. So there's
Right.
this element of separation between that, not only that it's completely separate from the physical, but it's also different in what you're looking for personality-wise.
Yeah, I find what what Roosh was looking for is very shallow. And when we're looking for someone like ourselves, we don't generally mean my very physical characteristics. I don't like the way I look. I can't look at myself and say there's someone I'd be attractive to. You know, if a girl looked like me, man, that would be one ugly girl. A big beard, and you know, no. What I'm looking for, you know, maybe brown hair, and a certain, you know, facial characteristics that doesn't need makeup and stuff like that. I would never look for a woman that looked like my mother, because I'd find that very, very distasteful. But when, as looks are very different, and I think, Viking, in the way that we perceive what we want our children. I can see characteristics and faults that I don't want my children to have. So when I was picking that woman to have children with, I picked a certain skin type, a certain hair type, a certain size, body size, a certain intelligence, which I totally fucked up on. And I thought that she was this Catholic girl with good morals, and that tells you a lot about what I was thinking at that time. But that's what I, you know, them things are very different than man, that bitch is hot. You know?
Yeah, yeah. You say that Voosh, his, you know, he's quite shallow in terms of what he looks for in a woman, but I think men are generally like that. I think Voosh,
Yeah.
he does represent, you know, men in general. I don't think men do like look out for a motherly figure. I don't think they do. No, I think that's my main argument, that when men are looking for potential partners, they're not. I mean, people, they're quite judgmental. I mean, we're very visually orientated. It's like, is she good looking? You know, is she, you know, does she move? You know, is that type of thing, isn't it? And then other things either build or detract from that. I think the issue that, you know, we see a woman and then we see how she behaves with children and see how she behaves with other people, and then we deduce from that whether or not she'd make a good mate. I don't think definitely, I don't think people these days are like that at all.
No, but I mean sort of like this. When you've got the most horrible situation a man can imagine, you know, the whole "I'm pregnant" deal.
Oh.
When that happens, you've got two options. You tell her to abort it, or you tell her to keep it. And that's sort of the perspective I'm going at it from. What you tell her depends on if you can find these characteristics or not. It can be a completely smoking hot woman, and you'll still tell her to abort it if she doesn't fulfill those, what I'd call unconscious motherly quotas, or I'm looking for a word I can't find right now, but characteristics. And if she has those characteristics, you'll be more inclined to tell her to keep it and start a family. And that's something I think you can see in society at large.
Right, too. And if you're confident that that's your child too, and that's a lot has to do with it. If you're confident that that is, and there's no sperm envy or that sort of stuff, if you've kept an eye on her, and we know genetically we're programmed to have these feelings about whether it is that you've done your job by keeping an eye on her, and if you don't believe that that's your child, And if you don't believe that child has the characteristics of you, and what we're talking about is genetic characteristics, you're going to want to abort that child.
Yeah, I just want to add that I'm going completely from the perspective that you know that it's your child in both scenarios, just to make
Yeah.
it.
Well then we've got two points there, we've got two issues. The first issue is men and women. I think there's an issue that there's a type of woman that you'd have sex with, and there's a type of woman that you'd have a child with. Now, to say that those two are two separate things,
No,
I
they're
think.
not separate. They're the same, but the decision whether to keep a potential child or not is the ultimate deciding factor. I'm not saying that you're shopping for different kinds of women when it comes to the physical aspect, which everyone seems hung
Yeah,
up.
but I think you are saying that because the thing is, you're saying that if there's a woman who's pregnant, the way she is decides whether or not you want to have, you want to keep contacts with her and have that baby and bring up a family with that woman. But depending on how she is, like you might see other characteristics of her. You know, she might be very cruel. She might be lying. You know, she might be a cheat. So you say, you know what, she was great at having sex with, but I don't think I could have a family with this woman.
Okay. Hello, Heartburn. I want to bring you in here now. Have you been listening in, and do you have anything to say on this?
Good morning, gents. I'll just sit back and catch up with where you all are.
Okay.
It's 11:30. It's 11:30. I'm still getting conscious.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to find a drum to bring you in with, or the trumpet would have been good.
Well, we were just saying, is there a difference in the woman that you'd have sex with and a woman who you'd like to have a child with, like to start a family with? Is there a difference?
Yeah, well, at this point, I mean, as far as having children with a woman, I'd settle for her being built like a beanpole and having no teeth as long as she can respect the man.
There you go. You see, that's interesting. That's very interesting because then you're saying that, yes, there are two different types of women. There's a woman you can, you'd cop off with, and then there's a woman who would you start a family with. And obviously the two are very, very different.
Yeah,
they are very, very different.
Well, I'd prefer that I'd get both those qualities in the same woman, but obviously if it's coming down to having children, I can't just mate with any old woman. God knows what kind of hell you're going to pay in the future.
Mm.
I trade off looks and everything else just for someone I could trust.
Mm.
Yeah.
I guess that's a perspective I've never indulged in myself, possibly because I'm so young, but they could actually be separate for some older guys who maybe been in the whole dating game a lot longer than.
I think it's interesting. I think it does change as your tastes develop. I think when you're quite young, you can't tell the difference between the two. You think, oh, any woman I'd fuck, I'd have a family with. Any woman I'd have sex with, I'd have a baby with, no problem. As you get older, you see just how fucked up women are and fucked up things are. You're saying, oh, just wait a second. I just can't be having any baby with just any old bitch here. I've got to be serious about this.
Yeah. I've heard a dozen times in my life, and I know you've all heard this comment when you were younger, and most of the guys were searching for a prospective mate, and the big thing, and it was sort of a joke men throw out there, but it's serious. It's a serious joke, and a lot of us say, "Can she cook? Can she cook? She might be a little, she might be a little fat little girl, but can she cook?"
Women can't cook these days. Let's face it. And I'm nearly 40 years old. I've never met. I'm in all seriousness. I've never met one woman who can cook. Not one, except for my mum. And my mum, she's a chef. She's a trained chef. She's worked in restaurants, but for 25 years. So of course she can cook. She's a trained chef. But in terms of women under 30, there's not one woman who can cook. And going back to the male mother need thing, I don't think there is a woman like that. There's no women these days that are going to be good with children, or they're going to be loyal, or they're going to keep your house clean, or they're going to look after your feelings and look after. that doesn't exist.
Yeah, there's a lot of different characteristics. One, can she cook? Can she keep the house? Is she normalized in a domestic situation? Is she violent?
Is she going to kill the kids if she loses her temper?
Yeah, is she gonna eat the kids?
Is she going to eat the kids? Throw them out of a moving car?
Yeah,
Well, isn't that just a natural consequence of what kinds of lifestyle society it caters to today? I mean, there isn't really much encouragement for women to live the sort of lifestyle that those kinds of women would, what do you call it, thrive upon.
I think that is interesting. I think today, because of the stupidity of feminism, you know, a woman staying at home being a mother is, like you said, it's frowned upon. It's like, you know, what kind of a wasted loser are you, woman? You know, you want to be a mother, you want to sprout out 9 kids. I mean, back at now grandfather's time, that was looked up as a high status for a woman. You know, look at this woman. You know, she's got childbearing hips. She's so fertile. She's sprouted out 9 kids. Look at this woman. Look at that. She's keeping her husband happy. She's like able to cook. Look how clean her house is. Look how clean the kids is. But these days, that's like, you know, what it's like totally seen as totally uncool, isn't it?
right. Yeah, yeah. I look at my mother and I would say King George would have paid a king's ransom to have 8 boys. You know.
Yeah. I mean, it was all about keeping the progeny back in those days. It was like,
Yeah.
what is it? Henry VIII. He murdered his wives because they weren't able to produce children.
Right,
Now
yeah,
we're talking.
Catherine
There's
was in it,
patriarchy
yeah.
for you, brothers.
Yeah. What was that lady's name? Anne Boleyn.
Hmm.
Yeah, she killed Catherine, and just because, you know, he couldn't have male children, so he kept going with this. How many wives did he go through? Because he couldn't have male children.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, but men these days, I think, in answer to the gynocentrism, to the toxic female situation we're in, I think men are adapting their tastes as well. I think they're moving away from women that are quite fertile. They want a woman that's barren, you know, so they can be with.
Ooh. Ooh, can you?
So they can be with this woman and not have fear of having his life destroyed by child support or false child sexual abuse allegations and stuff like that. What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I found that kind of girl very unattractive when I was young, 24. I remember working with a woman. She was good looking. She had really huge titties, and she was but she would often say that she was barren and she couldn't have children. So I just put that one away right away. That was always like, ooh.
Really?
No.
What about you, Heartburn? I mean, would you prefer a woman that's fertile or a woman that's not going to produce any babies?
Well, at this point, yeah, I would definitely prefer a woman that can't produce any babies unless I'm absolutely sure. And how would you be sure? I don't know. I think it's best just to not have children at all.
Exactly. And I think most men think that way. I think most men above 30, obviously there's a difference. I mean, like I said, when men are quite young, they don't give a shit. They think, if I fuck her, she'd make a great mother. But these days, I think after 30, men are thinking, you know, she's infertile. Oh, I'll hook up with her. I'll have a relationship with her. What do you think, Zita? I think he's man.
Yeah, I think
It
Zeta's out.
seems to be muted at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, but Viking, I think you're 24, so you may not feel that way. You probably think, well, I prefer the more fertile woman.
You know, there's
Actually, in my, I can only speak for myself. I don't speak for my age group here, but I would prefer not to involve myself at all. But that's
Yeah.
just me.
Yeah, you know what? We often forget we are animal in nature too, and I try to articulate this sometimes when I was looking at that woman and when I seen women when I was 24, that I probably lost that sense of being able to do it, but their smell, I can automatically tell my instincts, my dog-like instincts, can automatically tell me that was a girl I didn't want to date. That was a girl I didn't want around me. There was a certain smell. There was a certain feel. There was nothing chemical there, and maybe it's the hormones she was supposed to be projecting, or what do you call those things?
Pheromones.
Pheromones. Yeah, she wasn't projecting the kind of pheromones that turned me on. And I noticed in my life when I was young, there were certain girls that projected that certain pheromone. When I'd walk up to them, my body would start to quiver, and it was like, oh, I knew she was fertile.
Traversable, when you're talking about that specific woman that was barren,
Yeah.
you mean you didn't feel those kinds of feelings towards her? Could
No,
that be
nothing.
because could that be because you because she had a certain personality formed by the knowledge that she was barren and that she carried herself in a completely different way than most fertile women would?
Yeah, it could have been slightly that too. Yeah, in a way, we look at a lot of things as more complex than just putting your thumb on one thing. But yeah, the way she projected herself, she walked, the way she talked was different from the rest of the women. But I did notice there was no chemical attraction there too. That played a lot into my not pursuing her. Uh, her,
But but most women at that age, they're not going to know the Bavin anyway. Most women, they're not going to know until like she actually tries to have a baby.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, today with modern science, as soon as you have your first, gynocentric check as a woman, I think you pretty much know today. I think she knew then too. Well, this was a girl. She was like 30. I was young. She was like 30 maybe, which was old for me too.
Mm. Yeah, but I don't know. Unless heartburn has got another angle on it, I don't see it. The male mother need philosophy having any validity, trying to explain why men are attracted to women. I
Yeah,
think it's just so arbitrary, and it's just the male and female attraction is just so arbitrary. It's just so random. I don't think you can put a thing on it, which is why
yeah,
I laugh at PUAs.
yeah. No, no. Viking brought something up in our pre-conversation that it's just an excuse for them too, isn't it, Viking?
Yeah,
It gives them an excuse to be more pussy bagger, and it gives them that right. They perceive it as a right then.
when I try to look at how MGTOW and purple pillars and PUAs and all these kinds of people apply that concept, all I can see is a justification of continuing what I see as an addictive sort of attraction. That
Addictive.
it's all based in what they're continuing to live that lifestyle, not because they want to, but because they can't stop it. They need the same kind of help that an addict of, say,
An addict needs, yeah.
GHB or of cocaine or any obscure drug you can find out there. They need rehab, these kinds of people. That's how I see it.
Yeah, that's sort of the way I see it too. It's very chemical in its nature. It's very, it's like an addiction. Our bodies, our brains do these things for us. We set off certain chemicals in our brain and we get addicted to them, and then they go down that and they keep making this excuse over. And male mother need is, oh, I can't help it. It's just a desire. No, it's not. It's an addiction.
That's right.
So, hey Zeta, you back in?
Yeah, I've just been drifting in, in and out, guys. Sorry.
So, do we have a consensus that male mother need doesn't exist?
Well, I like the idea that it's an addiction. You got all these chemicals going on in your brain. Not only that, but also the false imagery that ensues. That, oh, does she love me? Does she love me not? And I think that's the fascination that keeps you going. But no, I incline towards the addictive model. And I've seen enough too. Joe and I have discussed this in 12-step groups. Really, if you really got to question if these guys are there for their substance addiction. But I think there's something further and deeper than that, and I think it's It's that addiction to love.
Well, if I'm understanding what you guys are trying to say, you're trying to say that this male mother need is just another imaginary excuse that some PUA Mgtow have pulled out so
I
they can
I
validate
want to
their.
bring in another perspective before we move on,
Sure.
Okay.
and that's that not only is it that addiction perspective, but it's also that males are completely isolated from their nature. You know, in the old days, you'd hunt in packs and feel like belonging to your tribe, and that entire thing. But today, we're so isolated from each other. All males are enemies to us in the competitive game of getting laid. And when you think about it from that perspective, you see another side, not only the addiction that's natural, but also the societal perspective that drives us to look for confirmation in a woman that we would naturally look for in the tribe. So women are bearing double duties when it comes to confirming our feelings and insecurities and all this shit that will be handled by the tribe at large.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's sorted then.
Okay. Okay. What are we going to move on to, gentlemen? I think male mother need is a falsity, and we can, as MGTOWs, and generally in this group, we all agree that we can, as MGTOWs, rise above some certain things, certain biological things that happen, and
Yeah, I mean, putting it that way, I think there is a need, there's a urge, there's an instinct in men, a very basic instinct in men that will that that compels them to seek out sex. No doubt about that. Now the thing is, how urgent that need is debatable. Because
right.
I'm saying people, they give that up. Like, for example, the Muslims, they give that up during in Ramadan. You know, the monks, they give that up their entire lives. You know, religiously, people, they'll give that up for no reason except that they think that this is what a tenet of their religion is. Now, for atheists, obviously, they don't follow any tenets like that. But the fact that they want to move away from gynocentrism, they want to avoid this disaster of you know, all the evils that comes with today's modern relationships. Just for that alone, to avoid you know, women alone, to avoid sex, to override that instinct. Surely, you know, surely that's the direction Mgtow is heading, isn't it? Or have I got completely misread it?
No, that is the direction MGTOW is heading, I think. There's stages to this, isn't there? And I hate to quote Sandman because he really didn't come up with it. He just kind of noticed it and observed it. You got 4 stages, or I like to say you even got 7 stages of MGTOW, where you come in, you're fresh, you're still wounded, you're still reeling from that desire and everything, and then you start taking in a little MGTOW philosophy, and then okay, women are bad, and that's the first step. Let's not get married. And then you say, well, you know, marriage is a process of dating, and dating is a process of doing these biological things we do, so I have to put that away. So by the time you end with this thing, or you get to a point where you're not doing any of that stuff, and if a woman just happens to come in your life, you're very skeptical about what she is.
It's a very difficult subject, isn't it? Because I mean, here's us old guys. We're talking like this. I mean, it's not going to affect us like it does with a younger guy, with the under 30s. I think if you're like 20, 22, 21, 18, you know, trying to live that monk lifestyle, trying to be celibate, it's going to have detrimental effects. And I think,
Right.
where's Nico? He'd be jumping on this subject right now.
He'd be going nuts right now.
It does have detrimental effects, and the extent of the harm that would do to that person, I think would be worth investigating. Now, on that basis, I think yes, I think my argument would be quite weak because of that point. But I think if you're able to, I think all Mgtow agreed that the absolute best would be to completely avoid all relationships, all sexual relationships with women as possible. I think that
Right.
would be the best now.
Yeah, but there's a difference there too, isn't there? Sex is not relationships. Relationships is not sex. You can still have sex, and totally be avoid of the emotional and the drama shit.
So what's the solution? You know, do we do PUA? Do we do prostitutes? Do we do dolls? Do we do
I would
All of the
intervene here and
above.
say that
Everything.
everything.
I would intervene and
If
say
it can't
that,
get pregnant, fuck it.
Fuck it, yes.
Not animals, guys. Leave those animals alone.
I would say that it's not a necessity, neither sex nor relationships with women at all. I mean, I'm 24 years old, and you know, you've got a hand, or if you've got a disability that where you've amputated both hands, there's probably more credibility to needing some sort of outside assistance. But if you've got a hand, you've got everything you need to take care of it. It's a physical need.
Right, it is a
That
physical
aspect is covered no matter what. Everything else is just wanting more out of a addiction. And the relationship aspects, I can't quite speak for that because I don't feel that need anymore.
Yeah. I don't want a woman coming. The first thing they're going to do is start changing my towels in my bathroom and stuff like that, and and putting pink stuff in there and somewhere to put my soap.
Well, I like to hear Heartburn's angle on this. I've watched a couple of his videos where he touches upon. I mean, what do you think, Heartburn? You think men should be encouraged to be abstinent? I mean.
Well, yes, in regards to male mother need, I think that we're talking about in terms of it going awry. But I would say it seems to me that we're looking at some kind of evolutionary trait that ideally would cause us to be selective. If the woman can't be motherly to us, she can't be motherly to any damn children. So at least there's some kind of use there for it. Well, of course, it's obsolete for us nowadays, but I don't think it's entirely bad. To want a motherly type of a woman, not to baby me or treat me like I'm a child. I mean, but a nurturing, caring, empathetic woman.
Agree.
And if she can't be that way to me, she can't be that way to children. Period.
Right. Yeah. That's just normal in life for someone that you choose to be a part of your daily routines or your daily activity. You're not bringing a mean person in your life. You're bringing someone that rises you up, that tells you good things about yourself, that makes you feel better about yourself, and you do the same thing for them. Any person, man or woman, that comes into my house, I generally treat them with respect. I guide them in the right way if I can. I give them what they need to prosper in this world. And that's a characteristic of just a personality. Whatever man or woman I choose, I expect those things out of anybody that comes in the house, man, female, dog, or a bird. If it comes in my house, don't shit on my floor.
Exactly right.
No, absolutely. If Mgtow was about trying to inform guys, inform young men, inform men of less experience, what to look out for in a female mate. Yeah, we tell them, look out for these motherly qualities. But generally speaking, I'm finding it strange how Mgtow they're talking about this, because this is not what Mgtow is about, is it?
Yeah,
I mean, yes.
Isn't that up to the traditionalists to talk about this kind of shit? Isn't that beyond us or below us to even?
Exactly. I thought we were past this, guys. Why are we talking about? Well, this is the type of trait you need to look for a woman, and this woman would make a good mother for your kids. No, absolutely. If we're going to talk about this, look for a woman that's caring, a woman that's soft-hearted. But come on, This is Mgtow, guys.
Yeah, I know.
Well, and as a Mgtow, you're making an argument for your position as a Mgtow. You're saying this is ideally what we should be looking for, and if you make that description, it's very reasonable what you're asking from a woman out of society. And the fact that you can't actually find that is, case in point why you're a Mgtow. And for these younger guys to say, look, I understand this Viking's 20-something years old. At that age, and I don't want to talk down to this gentleman because I'm 40. I don't think I have any authority here. But and when you're that young, women have an attraction to you, that motherly need that can just go awry. And you think your attraction to her means she'd make a great mother.
Well, on that point, I mean, if you're saying that, we're discussing male mother need on the issue that we're telling women this is something, girls, come on, women, this is something that you've lost, then yes, that would be a valid point. But Mgtow, we're not addressing women at all. I mean, if you want to make, information and talks and videos addressing women, yes, I think this would be an excellent subject to pick up. I think it would be an excellent issue to discuss, but in a forum full of men, specifically for men only, I question that.
Yeah, this is a male-centric area, and we're always when we're making the argument, still we are always making the argument from the male-centric point of view. We're not talking about women, but that's where it gets a little flip-flop. Something you all have had experienced it in here, where you're making the argument from the male-centric point of view, and all of a sudden someone's talking from the female-centric point of view, and you go, okay, we got a simp in the room.
That's the problem. Yeah. I think that's the problem. I think for guys like me, I think we just find it strange. That's all. We just find it strange that it's been brought. I'm not saying it shouldn't be part of the narrative. No. If you guys think there's an issue that needs to be talked about, let's talk about it. Let's say it. But obviously, I'm going to come at it on how I see it.
Right, yeah. This is, all in all, this is our space. This is where we talk about these things. And generally, this is, and I do want to say, generally, this is kind of a queer, kind of a queer conversation in this room, because we usually just talk about men, and that's my rule in here. We talk about men. We don't say the F word.
Well, I think it still applies to men in a certain aspect. We're looking for what these young men coming into Mgtow are feeling that they're lacking, and how do we help them find that other than with women, because that's obviously not something that's
very, very good.
How do we help them find that?
Well, that's interesting because I've heard Traversables and I've heard Zeta's angle on it, but I mean, Heartburn, what advice would you give to the younger Mgtow, those under 30s, even 16, 17, 18-year-old young guys, they want to become Mgtow. I mean, what advice would you give them concerning, what should the guy do about his sexual needs?
Okay, well, first, for some clarity, this first hour of this broadcast was not discussing male mother need as a way of giving advice for younger Mgtows how to find a wife.
Right.
The point was, if anything, here would be a reasonable description of a wife. Now go out and try to find one. Good luck. That's the point of it. You're not giving dating advice here. You're observing the fact that there's a drought in just a decent quality in would-be mothers, and that's the issue. That's why we're Mgtow. So anyway, as far as being in your 20s and coming to terms with that in your 20s, that the attraction you're having for women, for the most part, is you're being deluded into thinking there's a quality there that really isn't there, and you're better off staying away from them, especially when you're younger, even if you think you're just going to date them, and you're not going to marry them. You're playing with fire when you're in your 20s. You're a raging ball of hormones and a raging ball of ignorance and a raging ball of lack of experience. So at least tread lightly. I can't tell somebody don't touch women, just watch porn and buy a fleshlight. I can't tell them that, but look, I mean, your 20s is the worst time in the world to commit yourself to something like a marriage and having children. It is the worst.
But would you? Because I've heard 16-year-olds. I've heard comments from guys that said they're 16 and they're saying that they're perfectly fine with it. They're perfectly fine with celibacy. And there's others, you know, like Nico. Hopefully Nico will come in. He can speak on his behalf, and they'll say, you know, going without sex, it just totally fucks up his head. It totally screws him up to the point where he's now thinking of marrying a woman. He's now thinking.
Yeah, I
of
know what you mean.
now, would you say that the best thing?
Well, I was going to say, as far as younger guys having sex, I'm sorry, I forgot my point. Keep going, Shannon. I'm sorry.
I was going to say that obviously there's different, because we're all different. There's different levels. We have different abilities. Would you say if you're able to, you know, be a celibate, and if you're not able to, then maybe just date good girls, and if you're like a TFLer, then just go and visit prostitutes, and if that's shit for you, then go buy one of those fleshlights or one of those dolls. I mean, would you say that that's the procedure of the levels that would most benefit the younger guys?
Well, I've actually had a couple guys come to my channel saying, I'm 16 and I'm Mgtow for life. It boggles my mind. I don't even know how you could be celibate at 16. If you can do it, God bless you. But and I don't know. I mean, let's be realistic. Can I tell a young man, 16, even 20 years old, to be celibate? I don't know how the hell you would do that at that age. And if you can, God bless you. But I think being reasonable and being realistic about it, I think it's a matter of mitigating the results of getting tangled with women and not necessarily expecting an under 30-year-old to just totally abstain from dealing with women at all. I don't know if it's reasonable or not for kids that are out there now. It wouldn't have been reasonable for me when I was that age.
Yeah.
You see, that's my point of view. You know, that's my stand as well. I mean, it's easy for us older guys to say that, but I know. I mean, when I was younger, I knew guys that, you know, they were, you know, their first sexual experience, the first time they had sex was when they were 12, 13 years old, and some girls as well. And there's guys that are 16, girls that are 6. Well, I think more guys. But they don't have a choice. It's like 16, 17, 18. You know, they are proper. We call them TFLers, true forced loneliness. You know, they're not getting anywhere with women. You know, whether they like it or not, they're not really gonna have sex at that age. And there's guys like that coming into Mgtow, and it's not really going to be a problem for them in being celibate.
Yeah, you know what? I look at this like, if you come to Mgtow, step one has already been fulfilled. You've already seen in your life that there's something wrong. So a lot of these men have to, you know, act that way. We can always tell when someone doesn't notice that certain peculiarity, that something's wrong. And what we are saying, and this is step two of this argument with the male mother need, is what can we do to help them through that?
Well, we could start by telling them that some of what they expect out of a relationship or a sexual encounter is not what they seek. I mean, the whole getting laid aspect is something I think they should find out for themselves, but the relationship aspect, I think they're just teaching them about this is how women act, this is how things end up for people who think they found the perfect soulmate, and then 5 years later she completely burns your entire life to the ground. I mean, just hearing these stories are what made me decide to finally, nope, not gonna involve myself with that. So that aspect I think Mgtow has down without any problems, but the question then becomes, so what do you do from this point? You're still going to live with your addiction. It's not going to be cured ever. It's going to stay with you until at least your 30s, late 40s in worst case. This desire to keep up that sexual lifestyle, and possibly even these weird dreams by subtle messages implanted by society to involve yourself romantically, not just sexually. So how do we help men who's got to the point where they've realized it's toxic?
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, I said before that this is why I make the videos, and some of the other Mgtow, they make videos which we get accused of being misogynistic. We get accused of making hateful stuff. Obviously, mine's not as extreme as some of the other guys, but we're not being hateful. We're not. No one's telling anyone to hurt women. No one's telling anyone.
No.
We're just saying abstain. Leave them the fuck alone.
Yeah,
And
we're just simply providing the argument, so we know the way the argument's going to go. If you're around here for any time, any period of time, you know exactly where the argument's going to go. At the end of it, it's going to come out. Leave the women alone. Do what in your life you need to do to make you more successful, happy, and all that stuff. But we all know that that's where the argument's going to head when we do these things, when we talk about these things. So.
Yeah. Go on.
So how we project it on ourselves and whether we're angry or everything, and I hear this argument he's an angry Mgtow and this is that, blah blah blah. So what? As long as you're projecting a narrative that shows and gives direction in where these relationships are going to end up, where there are no waltz, they're not out there, they don't exist, and we keep doing that, we're just doing a service. We're doing what we do.
And that's probably why people think that we're angry, because the way we describe women, we're describing it in a way so you guys understand that they're not the little fairy pixie princesses that make rainbows and produce stardust.
That's going to be unpalatable to them. I know that's going to be unpalatable. I'm prepared for the argument. I've said something that sets them off and triggers them. I know it's going to be unpalatable for them. But they're telling on themselves, aren't they?
Well, what's funny, I mean, Salucci, when he was explaining his stance on it, he was saying that he's doing exactly the same thing. He's saying, well, he's explaining women as being misunderstood, so that you guys can distance yourself from falling in love with them. That you guys, if you adopt my understanding, you'll be able to handle women, like one guy quoted him. You'll be able to control the pussy.
Control the pussy. Yeah, that's the Rush V narrative that somehow they're going to control these women and they're going to go back to the 50s. That ain't happening. We know that.
Well, one interesting point he did bring up, I don't know what you guys think about this, is he says we shouldn't compare women with masculine standards. So we shouldn't regard women in the same terms as men. Now the thing is, if you really think about what that's saying, he's saying you shouldn't think of women as humans. That's basically what he's saying. Don't think of women as having loyalty, as having dignity, as having honesty and all that. Don't think of them as human beings.
Yeah, he did circular logic, didn't he? And he brought it back to anti. He started off with don't treat women like this, and don't say they're what's the word that Messenger uses? Don't say they're evil. But then he does circular logic all the way back to saying yes, they are evil.
Yeah, they are evil. I mean, if they're not human beings, then they're evil. But they're not evil because they're not human beings. You can't give them the same standard. But I mean, come on, guys. What do you think?
Well, I think he's an apologist.
None of us are really comparing them to masculine standards. I don't think anyone really compares them to men. I think they compare them to some sort of if you've got a bit more experience, you're comparing them to this is a bearable human being to be with, and they're not meeting up to those standards.
Yeah, I think he's apologizing for women, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, my video was, I mean, I thought I sort of covered that in my response to not all women are evil. I mean, it seems that there's like a slight difference of opinion on what people think evil means, but generally it means that what we're trying to say is women are basically bad people. But then Salucci say no, you can't give them that level of criteria. You can't give that criteria to women. Because obviously, if you compare them to men, then yeah, they're going to fall short. But we're not. I don't think we are doing that. I think we're just comparing them to people. In a society where things are considered either good or bad or evil or beneficial. I think that's what we're doing. I don't think we are raising the standards up for them at all. And I think to say that you can't give them masculine standards. I think that's the same as just saying, you can't compare them, you can't consider them as being normal, average human beings in terms that, of being honest or loyal or having honor. I think that's that's like you say, circular logic.
Yeah,
If we
yeah.
say it like this, if we have to lower our standards of what makes an acceptable human being, if we have to lower our standards, then what is that argument really? Should we involve ourselves with them assuming lower standards? I don't quite get that logic.
No, we don't assume lower standards. We put a standard on every person that comes. Like I said, every person that comes around me, male or female, child or neighbor or anybody, I put a certain standard of characteristics and qualities on them. Don't steal. Don't fuck my life up. Don't steal my credit cards. Don't do that stuff. And they fall short every time. And what Lucia is doing is saying, well, yeah, that's going to happen. That's natural. No, it isn't.
Yeah, it's not natural, and it's not good. Women, I don't think women should be like this. I don't think women were like this before. I mean, Messenger's last video about the Stanford prison experiment is saying if people are facilitated in doing evil or doing bad things, that they will do it. I mean, even that I would question. I think that the fact that women have been facilitated in just basically treating men like shit and basically being rewarded for it, I think decent human beings would still not do that. I mean, if you watch Messenger's last video, just from the footage that he showed, there was a great deal of hesitation. Unfortunately, the man, when the man was given the orders to hurt another man, he went ahead and did it, but he was still very, very hesitant. Now, but what I'm saying, I think people today, I think generally people are good. I think generally people, if they're given the option of either hurting somebody else or being hurt, well, the people I know, I think they choose to get hurt. And then to say that women, they would rather choose evil, not under any threat, but just because they'll get something out of it, that they'll actually choose evil. Then yeah, unfortunately, I would say yes, women are like that.
Yeah. We do these things. We say these things for a reason because there is a standard. Now look at the other side of that. Would you, it's basic knowledge in the society, but women are so subject to media and what media says, what social influences they have. And Travis wants them. I was reading that, and it was just confused me. Zeta said something about James Denton. What is that?
Yeah, I don't know James Denton. Is he safe to bring in? Is he going to detonate the entire room?
Well, it seems there seems to be a bit of a heated discussion there. But James, maybe you can explain in chat what's going on there.
All right. Okay. Well,
yeah.
Let's see what he has to say. But
that's it.
Yeah. What his last comment was the MRM lesbos. Never seen her video, but Stardust interviews her in his recent video. I watched about 5 minutes of it before thumbs downing it on his vid. Leaving to watch Louis Marco. James, what else is it? The MRM? Yeah, if you can kind of put something up to. Okay, Diana does not just attend. She is meeting and a great person. She is first face men see when they come to that Mgtow meeting. So is the argument about bringing women in, or
I don't know. Let's wait until he comes in. He can explain himself.
Okay.
Yeah, we got Stanley Roy requesting in as well.
Stanley Roy.
I don't know who that is.
Don't know who he is.
Is he going to detonate who?
Well, that's just it.
Yeah, I like to do the interviews.
We'd like to keep this conversation going. We got a great discussion going on here, guys. So, dropping bombs is going to derail everything here. Let's keep this, if you have something positive to add, then we might just consider that. But
well,
let's stay with this good flow we got going here.
While we're waiting for them to come in.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a bit of an echo, so somebody needs to turn their speakers down.
Sita, you've got it.
Okay.
I muted her.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys watched the cows going their own way video. Did you guys
Oh
watch that?
yeah, I love that video. He says it's very, very well in that video. Do you want to explain that one?
Oh, that was hilarious. I'll let you explain it, but I think we touched upon that on one podcast. I think I described it as these guys making a big fuck you video before they close down their channel.
Yeah, yeah, we talked about that, and he says, you know, he come around there, they got their cure, but they weren't willing to stick around in there, just giving us a big finger on the way out, saying, yeah, thanks guys for all this information, but I'm going back into the Matrix, and I'll send you letters from the Matrix.
Yeah. Oh, Neo is back. That's right. His channel's back up. He's posted a rap song.
Yeah, yeah, I think that was about Neo telling us he was going to send us messages from the Matrix and let us know how things are going out there. We don't care how things are going out there.
He's become a cipher, isn't he? Neo is now cipher.
He's ciphering. How's that steak taste? How's that plastic steak? Yeah, but we get that. We'll get that a lot. MU was in and out, and he was very effeminate. Byrne said something about that. Heartburn had a very... He was very effeminate. How did we not notice that? Did we notice it? And how should have we reacted to this effeminate guy coming around, raging out, then leaving? Because he'd done that.
Did Heartburn... What? Neo? Did he Heartburn...
I made a video about Mgtow United's departure, and I was noting that his videos, you know, he was, you know, the word sometimes people will call a man that acts irrational being a bitch, okay?
Yeah.
That would be a description of a lot of his videos. He was not red pill raging, per se. He was an irrational, disrespectful, basically a man or a woman with a penis. Okay? I mean, I'm not trying to ad-hom the guy. I mean, that's literally what it was. He was an irrational, basically feminine-minded guy.
Right.
And I think that the Mgtow community tends to be more tolerant of that kind of behavior because we're giving room for people to have their red pill epiphanies, and of course we're giving room for men that have been newly traumatized by their, you know, divorces and custody battles.
Yeah,
But
that's the words I was interested in. Feminine-minded men that come around here. How do we deal with them?
you take them out into the town square, you put them in the stocks, and you throw tomatoes at them. That's what I want to do.
A waste of tomatoes.
Yeah. Because this is a masculine case, and I like CS's new video because he was telling us there's an argument, there's a fight going on between PUA, MRA, and Mgtow right now, and we're providing our view of masculinity, which I think our view of masculinity, look around this room, there's no bitches in here. Our view of masculinity is very stern. It's more, when you look at Mgtows like us, like the older Mgtows and even a lot of the younger Mgtows, and we're very masculine men. We're just comfortable with saying, fuck this shit, I'm not willing to put up with it. PUAs are presenting another side of masculinity. They're willing to even go as far as to emasculate their bodies to be more feminine to get a woman. Now, MUAs are willing to let women in their lives. That's not being masculine. I think Mgtow has the perfect view on masculinity, and masculinity is what it is. You know, just look at me. I'm a very masculine man. Look at Bernie. He's a very masculine man. We're all very masculine men. We say what we want. We say what we do, and we can back it up with our words, our actions, and our intelligence. But when you get guys like MU in here, Mgtow United, he wasn't very masculine, and we let it allow. We allowed it to be around.
But he was a popular, wasn't he? What was it, going 7,000? His 7K? People liked him.
He was a drama queen. The drama queen.
Yeah, the girls liked him. Maybe there was probably a lot of girls liked him. You know, they like that bitchy shit, that drama queen shit.
Well, I'm trying to understand these guys. I'm trying to understand the PUAs. I'm trying to understand the MRAs. Trying to understand, you know, these guys that are saying, don't use this language and don't speak about women like this. I'm trying to understand their point of view. Yeah, there's a little bit of a verbal a battle going on, but I think it's good that we're talking. I think there's a lot of good points coming out, and I think that the discussion is developing Mgtow very well. I know there's a lot of Mgtow. They're very disillusioned with what's going on. They're thinking there's a watering down, there's a hijacking, there's a co-opting of Mgtow. But man, if you're Mgtow through and through, if you're how does that guy put it? He goes Mgtow to the end, bitches. What's that name? Neo, I believe. If you're Mgtow to the end, then all this PUA rubbish shouldn't affect you, because the reasons why you came to Mgtow, the reasons why you're in the situation and in the frame of mind that you're in, this reason is constantly perpetuating itself. It's not going to change just because some dude has come along and saying, women are misunderstood, and he's made a video about it. That's not going to change anything.
Right. Yeah. Well, what we do, and that's what we were talking about here with the male. We spot the male mother need in these cats. We look at it. We go, hey, that guy's a little feminine. He's been enmeshed with his mother too long. And I can tell he's been enmeshed with his mother too long by the way he's talking.
It's funny though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It always makes me laugh when you can't talk like that. Don't say that. And you ask him why not? He goes, because my mum, my mother, my sister, my great aunt, my grandmother.
Yeah, they're all somebody's daughter. Yeah. They're all somebody's daughter. So fuck that, be a man. When you come around here, that's all I'm asking.
You're a grown-ass man.
You're a grown-ass fucking man. Be a man.
You're talking about your mother. We're not talking about your mum. We're not talking about your sister. We're talking about women in general. Women in general when it comes to sexual relationships. You have a new guest, Joe?
Yes, we have a new guest. That's, let me see, Stanley. Is this Stanley Roy?
What do you want to say, Stanley? He's doxed himself.
Okay, he docked himself a little. He'll probably be.
He has to run now.
I might have some mic problems going on there too.
Yeah, he was putting on.
I think he's trying to get hooked up. Okay.
His camera works, but not his mic.
That's it.
Yeah, that's funny with the what is that? The Microsoft 8. You have to reset your camera settings, and you have to reset your mic settings when you come in.
Never update, guys. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Yeah. Never update. Never just use. If it was up to me, I'd still be using Windows 95.
Oh, me too.
Well, Windows 3.1 that came on the floppy disk.
Yeah,
that's what you're using now, except they've added all the bloatware to it. It's still Windows 95.
I can't believe it.
You got 3 gigabytes of extra stuff that's been added in the last 20 years, but you're still using Windows 95.
It's just pictures and higher resolution. That's where all the gigabytes went.
Yeah, better sound cards. God, there's better sound cards. You remember the old sound cards? God, the Real Tech and them original ones. You're like
Roland something, Roland Sound Blaster, something like that.
Sound Blaster, yeah.
It sounded like you were talking through a tin can.
But they're still using those old pieces of shit. And I mean, I'm still using this old-ass M-audio file. I think that's from somewhere around the early 2000s. So there hasn't really been any advancements technology-wise in the entire sound industry. All we've got is that the standards of the actual pieces of shit have gotten removed from the market due to being too shit.
Okay, take care. Shiny's gonna hand out. Stanley, I was gonna say if you come back in, unplug your mic and plug it back in. Sometimes that works, and we can invite you back in. Let's get back to the subject of men. Yeah, men and how they act around here, and you can automatically tell when somebody needs. That's Journey of Man. Join the video. A Journey of Man. How are you doing, Journey of Man?
This is actually Mgtow United, or the former.
Okay, Mgtow United. No, it's not.
Angry Mgtow. Yeah, it is.
Okay. Okay. You have a certain point of view. Then, okay, is he still with us?
I'm here, guys. I saw the
Okay.
video that Byrne made, and then Mayor of Mgtown and the Sandman, and I figured I'd just stop in. Because you invited me to the last chat before you invited me to the last chat
Before you left.
before I left, and I wasn't able to come to that. But there's been so many videos popping up that I figured that I would stop in. I don't know if my presence will help to maybe calm things down a little bit, to say that I didn't, I don't know, but I figured I'd stop in and see if anything can help to quelch things a little bit.
Okay, yeah. You left sort of unceremoniously. I don't know what your state of mind was at that point. Maybe you were having some troubles, maybe you weren't, but the community, the community's seen it. And then with that, how many guys have left? And we see this thing over and over again. And where are you at now?
What do you mean?
What's your mental frame of mind right now after taking your break?
Well, here's the funny thing. I didn't tell, I didn't tell anyone about this, but I mean, I did make a video talking about my health and how bad my health was. You remember that?
Vaguely, someone reminded me about that. Yeah.
Okay. My health was really health was very, very bad, and I was experiencing kidney failure, liver failure, among other things, and I don't know what happened, and we couldn't figure out what was happening. And between all that shit and then like making those videos, I just had to pull back. And I noticed that after I stopped, because I used the title The Angry Mgtow, and people honestly think I'm joking. No, it's just a name. No, I'm really the Angry Mgtow. I was. And after I stopped making the videos for about a month and a half, I started to get better, and I just I dodged cancer by just the spoils of my teeth, because that was pretty bad for a couple of months, and that contributed to me leaving. But the anger also, I couldn't deal with the anger anymore. It was just too much. I mean, I really was really angry, really, really angry. And I said in that goodbye video that I wasn't. I said I was not using the label of Mgtow anymore, but I was not. I'm still a Mgtow. I'm just not active in the community. I'm just not using the label because I felt the community was coming apart. And I'm not unique. Every time something like this happens, there was another Mgtow that passed away recently. Did you hear about that? Content producer.
No, I haven't heard about any of them passing away.
Yeah,
I think that was Wardrum Fire.
that's correct. Yeah, and I'm looking at the community. I heard he had a heart attack, and he was only 35. And I'm looking at, and he's not the only one. There have been other Mgtows who've been going on there, and I look at this community it's you can walk the walk and talk the talk, but when something happens, everyone's like, well, Godspeed, and it's kind of, I find it kind of bullshit. It's like, what kind of community is this? There's just so much bullshit in this Mgtow community. And Hart, Byrne, I saw your video, and that was really, you said some fucked up shit in there.
Okay, is it my turn to talk now, or are we going to let him bother on for another half an hour?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, first of all, it wouldn't be any surprise to me that you've had an unfriendly. Somebody needs to turn their microphone off.
Someone here, let me. I think
I'll do it.
Journey.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Okay, it's not surprise to me that you angry, or whatever your name is. I'll call you Journey. Okay. It's not a surprise to me that you found the Mgtow community to be unempathetic when you were having a problem, given the presence that you had in the community from the beginning. Look at the variety of videos that you put out, and the weird way that you interface with the public through your videos, and even the way that you're talking here. I mean, you are a confused mess, and of course people are frustrated with the way that you behave. And to say that there's something wrong with the Mgtow community, my friend, no, it's not the Mgtow community. You're the goddamn problem. Simple.
Listen to me. Talk about a community of brothers. Talk about a community of people coming together and working with each other. And then, you know... And
you're changing the subject.
If I could add something.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's Stanley. I have to agree with the person. Mgtow doesn't make me feel like a place of community. It makes me feel like a place where we're basically telling men, preparing them of the consequence of taking a wrong choice on the woman that they use. They don't think. Because it could really jeopardize everything that you believe in. So that's what Mgtow makes me believe. You know, it's like I thought I was the only one that was telling to a lot of my friends that you have total power to choose the woman you want. You have total power even not to get a woman if you want to. And I was looked at as crazy for just proposing, what do you mean? How am I going to get sex and things like that? So I do believe that Mgtow is a positive thing for men, but because we need to remind us as men that we are great. And we're in a society that we don't tell us that we're great. We tell us that we're nothing in this society.
Okay, can I talk now?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
We got an echo in the room. Can we fix that?
All right. The point of Mgtow is not necessarily to be a community and provide comfort to you. It is a knowledge base of experience that men can look at, compare their own experience to, and affirm conclusions that they've come to, and actually learn from other people and hopefully avoid some of the pitfalls that are out there.
Okay.
To expect a community to arise out of that and provide for you some kind of emotional support when you have interfaced with the community in a very unmasculine way, in a very unproductive way, and use that as the excuse for why you've changed your mind or changed your standing in the community. That's ridiculous.
Listen to me, and let me explain what I'm trying to get at. At the end of the day, I was trying to explain the reason why I had to leave the community, because, you know, my health was affecting me, and I had to really get out of the community. In terms of why I took down my channel, I looked at my channel. There were videos that I worked really hard on, and that I really designed to help inform men and to provide them with information. There were other videos I didn't, you know, my perspective changed on. I'm not a perfect person, and I realized that.
Fine. Have you made videos making addendums to your former presence on YouTube? Or are you saying, look, I'm learning more, I'm growing up here? No, that's not what you've done.
You know, here's
now, right now in this room, now all of a sudden you've had a change of heart, it sounds like. You haven't made that clear in your videos before you took your channel down.
Dude,
yeah, can I ask you, Journey, do you think your physical health had a change on your personality during that time?
I almost died. I almost died, guys.
What does that have to do with Mgtow?
That's why I couldn't make any more videos. I was really...
Okay, then you just walk away. Leave the channel up, or just make a video saying, I'm sorry, give me a break. I'm going to take a break for my health. Done. Simple. No drama, no nothing. You chose the most spectacular, dramatic way of dealing with whatever you're saying is your personal issue, which I give you room for. I don't think that's an accident, sir. I think a simple little video, or just simply not making videos, would have been enough.
You're confusing, dude. On one hand, you guys criticize the content that I made. On the other hand, you criticize me for taking down the channel. You can't have both. It's either you hate my content, or you support the content, or there's some middle ground. I mean, which one is it?
No, you just said you were changing your point of view on previous videos you've made, but yet you didn't address that by making videos sharing with your audience your new points of view.
I'll be honest with you,
Okay, now be honest with us, yes.
Honestly, I've been honest the entire time, but I would appreciate if you stop attacking.
I'm not attacking you. I am taking apart your logic. If you consider that an attack, you need to become a little bit more masculine-minded, sir.
Vern, I came in here because I felt that I wanted to explain to you, answer whatever questions I could, or try to, squash some of the anger.
There's no anger. I'm not angry at you.
Mirif Mgtow, fuck you, Mgtow, fuck you. That was angry, and your video didn't. Definitely, we need to put up a door and purge these guys out. Something I want to say.
No, that's not what I said.
More or less.
No, that's not what I said.
Listen to me. At the end of the day,
I am listening to you, and you're not making any sense.
Here's my sense. Mgtow was men going your own way, not men going their own way together. And a Mgtow collective formed out of that. But to act like you can't be a Mgtow because if you're not a part of the collective or if you leave the group, that's absolute bullshit. And that's
Who said you can't? What does that have to do with this conversation?
Why I couldn't be a part of it anymore. I mean,
Okay, you can't be a part of it anymore. What's that got to do with your behavior?
What behavior? Taking down my videos and leaving. They were my fucking videos. I made the videos. I put in the hard work.
Okay.
I did that. That was my content. I didn't owe anyone anything. How about that one?
Okay, fine. That's all you have to say, and we're reacting you accordingly.
Okay, now I'm going to ask, let's get back sort of where we were on the conversation.
But hold on a second, Traversable. One moment, please. We've gone from his health problems to now his objection to the Mgtow community. What exactly is the reason for you disconnecting like that?
Yeah, that's what was my question.
Let's not get a consistent answer from this guy.
Okay.
Thought I was going to die.
Okay, so now it's because you're going to die. A moment ago it's because there's something wrong with the Mgtow community. What is it?
Listen to me. It was
I am listening to you.
Of things. All right? One, I'm not sure if I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow or not. Listen, Turk, what the fuck are you doing? Seriously, I don't need your bullshit right now.
No. Fuck you. Fuck you. You a brother. You call me a pedophile on numerous occasions, Link. You're full of shit. You're full of shit, bro.
I came in here.
No. Shut up for a minute, man. You come here. You come here. No. Shut up. You come here preaching on a.
Okay. I'm gonna do some moderation here now. What my question was do we have disagreements in what Mgtow masculinity is here between?
Sorry, I just got to say something, man. This idiot goes on about brotherhood, but yet this piece of shit called me a pedophile on numerous occasions, and he'd put you under the bus for any pussy, man. He's a motherfucking piece of shit. Fuck him.
Yeah,
we were circulating pictures of dead children and pornography.
Oh, get the fuck out of here, man. You were fucking asking some bitch to drink piss, man. Get the fuck out of here.
Okay, yeah, now was that that was the...
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the...
You're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite.
Try so hard. Oh, I love you so much.
Yeah, you're a hypocrite, you fucking scumbag.
Okay, now that was coined as Hangout Gate, and I think Mgtow has progressed, and we've learned a lot from Hangout Gate. And what we want to do here is, talk about the Mgtow masculinity, and we're talking about male mother need, and we're talking about things like that, and how we can help young men move past being effeminated by society. And the question is always around here, because we have certain different viewpoints on masculinity. We'll start with Turk. What is your viewpoint of somebody's echoing again? What's your opinion about Mgtow masculinity? What do you feel about that, Turk?
As far as the whole general Mgtow consensus, I think this whole Mgtow thing, I enjoy the concept of it and the camaraderie, but I think a lot of them are full of shit, to be honest with you. A lot of them will say, oh, it's all about brotherhood and all that sort of thing, but yet you've got guys like Journey asking some married woman to drink her own piss and it's calling your fellow brother, quotation marks, a pedophile.
Okay, now Journey, what's your opinion on Mgtow masculinity? Where's that point of view come from, and how we should be acting around here? Is there a certain bar that should be held up to?
I think this is my position on on masculinity. I think that we should get rid of the. I think we should stop using the damn label, and that's why I said I would stop using the label Mgtow. You know, I stopped using the label Christian, even though I'm still a believer in Christ, and I believe we need to stop using the label masculinity because every time we attach ourselves to a label, it becomes toxic, and there are people who are trying to control it. I mean, if we want to be, I understand the concept of masculinity. So if you want to focus on the concept of it, focus on the concept, which is really a lot of the basis of Mgtow, taking care of yourself, focusing on personal self-growth. When you do those things, you naturally develop. But when you start attaching yourself to the label, it becomes, you know, it's like a power play. Who can control who?
Right, it's sort of a peacocking. How about James? James, have you spoke yet?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Hello, James. Welcome to the Hangout.
Hello, everyone. Been listening to all your videos, to be honest, but never really joined any of them until now. I kind of agree. I mean, I think Mgtow, but you cannot be all-inclusive with regards to Mgtow, and at the same time have some kind of bar with regards to, you know, at what point people should be considered to be part or not. Because as soon as you set the bar, then you cannot be all-inclusive.
Yeah, you can't be all inclusive. That's kind of my opinion. We have we choose characteristics in people, and those characteristics must be upheld in this forums that we have around here. And there are certain, you don't pussy beg around here. We don't white knight. We don't do those things. We don't put women on pedestals. We just seen that with Salucci. He says he was being apologetic for women. We see that with a lot of Mgtows, being apologetic for women. We don't do them things around here. Who else is in the room that hasn't got a chance to talk? Stanley.
Well, if I'm listening to what you're saying and everything, I truly believe that Mgtow masculinity, like you said, for me, masculinity comes to leadership, concentrating on yourself, doing what you need to do, and not putting your life on women. And I feel we lost that art of just building, of just concentrate on yourself and stop killing yourself or jeopardizing yourself because of what women tells you you got to. And I think Mgtow brings us back to basically, like I said, it was surprising when I heard about it. First of all, it was with Sandman, but I heard it from different videos and everything, and it was surprising to hear finally men standing up and saying, no more.
Yeah, no more.
I'd absolutely agree with that. You know, as Mgtow myself, I am concentrating, focusing on my training. I'm focusing on my health. You know, motivating myself through mixed martial arts, like, you know, training myself in mixed martial arts, getting my finances sorted, and basically living my life, my own life. You know, being happy with myself. You know, instead of finding validity through pussy or anyone else. I mean, I love my my fellow brothers, you know, my friends. You know, I love JGG, who is a homosexual man, you know, who's, you know, quite frankly been, you know, ostracized from Mgtow, which I find strange. But yet we accept women like Diana Devison talking about Mgtow, but not a homosexual man. I find that bizarre.
Yeah, now I have we most of us in these rooms, we have a problem with homosexual because generally it's a gynocentric point of view.
I don't know.
I don't think that you can blend the two in Mgtow. Heartburn, what do you think?
Well, obviously, a homosexual doesn't have the issue of being in danger of marrying a woman. So I think the issue is moot as to whether or not a homosexual can be supportive of the Mgtow community. Milo Yiannopoulos is a great example. He did a great job of actually standing up for Mgtow on the Joe Rogan podcast recently.
Oh, you said been on Joe Rogan?
He did a fabulous job. Yeah, he was on Joe Rogan, and he mentioned the Mgtow community with fondness. And, of course, Joe Rogan chimed in with a very common understanding of Mgtow, which is basically a repackaging of True Force Loneliness as a description.
Yeah.
Okay? Cool. And Milo was the guy that jumped. He says, no. And he was very, he had a good understanding of the, Mgtow community. Anyways.
Did he actually use the term Mgtow?
Yes. Oh. Go watch his at 702, Joe Rogan 702.
I'd just like to say, you know, even though, you know, homosexuals can't understand the bane of can't understand the pain of men when it comes to relations with women, wouldn't you agree that they would be a great ally in understanding women because they don't have that urge, they don't have that, they don't have that ulterior motive when talking to any woman. There's no sex on their mind to cloud their judgment on their nature.
But if I'm listening to what you're saying is when you're just the comment of saying that those homosexual will help us understand women, I'm sorry to say it, I don't feel like as men we there's any way we could understand women. Because the scary part is that woman could basically be the love of your life for 5 years, like we keep on saying, and out of the blue, just because you want to make one mistake or you pissed her off, she could basically take everything that you work out and destroys you.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, we'll never look. I said this to Nico when he started his channel, and I'll say it again. We will never fully understand female nature. We're never going to. It's just how it is. We're men, they're women. We're never going to understand it. That's how it is. However, women, from what I can understand, act on emotion hormones. Their hormones are, from what I can tell, are the abattoir of their decisions, not logic and reasoning. So when that bloom, the honeymoon period ends, their quote-unquote love for the man ends. And they will, put you under the bus, or they'll go and fuck another guy, just because, hey, hormones.
Just want to add one more thing. I have no problem that a woman change her mind and she's emotional. The problem is that once she changed her mind, she has the legal right that goes with it. If she had no right with legal, she could change her mind as much as she wants and say, you know what, I don't want to be with you. Good. Okay, we're separated. You go your part, you go. But when she has the law that's in her hand, when she has the law that's saying, you know what, just because I feel that I don't want to be with you and I don't feel this, I'm going to not only kick you out of your own house, I'm going to take your own kid, I'm going to make you pay child support, and I'm going to make a living hell of you, of your house, of your life. That's where I have a problem.
Yeah, but the thing is, I have a problem with emotion before logic, because when you're emotional, you tend to make really irrational decisions that, harm other people. But the problem is, a lot of women are so selfish, their nature is so selfish that they don't care whether their decisions are detrimental to others. They just don't care.
Tarek, I would have to disagree with regards to not being able to understand a woman. Understanding them is very simple, and I think we already do understand them very well. It's like your comment is similar to like saying we're not atoms, so we will never understand quantum mechanics. That's just not how it works. We already know pretty much everything. They're just like any other animal. Like us, we're also animals. We understand them very well, and being Mgtow is very simple. Don't get married. Don't move in with a woman. Spend most of your time on yourself and improving yourself. I mean,
James, I'm gonna say this though. Here's a room of men. Let's go, and here is Nico Chomsky.
Hello, Nico.
Hello, Nico. How are you?
Hello. Am I doxing myself yet or not?
No, you're not. No, you're not. You're quite fine, sir.
Yeah. How are you guys?
Very, very good. All's well. Yeah.
Well, so anyway, listen, the point I'm making is here's a room full of guys spending all their time, and this is something that people brought up constantly. Mgtow spends so much time talking about women, and it's like, what, I mean, yeah, we're talking, this is a room full of guys talking about why you're not getting married, or why you're not doing this, but there's very little progress happening in Mgtow in terms, aside from saying, okay, yeah, your Mgtows are going their own way. What real progress are Mgtows making?
May I address that?
I think that's what the question was today. What progress are we making with men? We're trying to, and James is correct on when you come to Mgtow, you have to have a certain understanding. You're already at one. You're not here for any other reason. Otherwise, you'll be out there running around watching, the latest cartoons or whatever bullshit YouTube gives you. That would be your interest. You came to Mgtow for a reason. You should be past stage 1. You should be working on stage 2, and in stage 3 and stage 4. And the eventual in this thing is always the same. We've already gone through all these arguments. You put childish things away. We put childish things away, and then we develop a masculinity that permits us to be very successful in life.
Well, hold on a minute, dude. Like, I mean, Traversable, you go right back to the masculinity thing. You know, I watched Nico's video about, you know, basically men doing whatever they want, embracing their filth. And, you know, I think that you keep attaching the word masculinity, you keep on, it's essentially saying what you have to be and how you have to behave. But Mgtow was supposed to be about doing what you wanted to do, enjoying your life and not letting anyone else define you. You know,
If I could interject, right? If I could interject, but then again, Mgtow, if Mgtow is going to be such a loosely defined term, then you could argue that a male feminist is going his own way.
Right. Yeah, that's the point of cows going their own way video last time. We're not taking ourselves back into the gynocentric. As soon as you spot a man around here taking himself back into the gynocentric or apologizing for women, that man's wrong. He's wrong every bit. Every bit of what he's saying is wrong, and we already know that. But we get a lot of people around here trying to work back to women are okay. We say these things for a reason. We say we're working up to a certain stages in our lives where we put that childish things away, and one of the childish things we put away is women. Now, there's different steps to that. Wherever you fall, that's okay. But always know that there's an end game to this thing.
Hold on a minute, dude. Childish things. You know, I remember that movie Grown Ups, and in this, there's a scene where this guy says, "Don't lose your dinosaur." I don't know if anyone knows what I'm referring to. And
don't lose your what?
Don't lose your dinosaur. He says it to like Will Ferrell and the other guy because they're not growing up and they're like they're grown men but they're still acting like children. Yeah. He says, "Don't lose your dinosaur." You know, he said that I thought that I would just go on to become like, you know, a successful person, and then I would go back to being the same kid at heart that I was. The truth is that a lot of us have lost, you know, put childish things away. Women, there's young men who are looking at women and realizing they're not worth it at 16. I don't think that it's simply saying childish things. I think that being able to embrace your inner self, keeping some of that inner child is a good thing. I mean, it's like, what is Mgtow, a Nazi party where now you're gonna march down the street and you're now gonna become these big great warriors? Mgtow was supposed to be about. I mean, I understand the whole concept of no, you're not gonna let feminist manginas going their own way, but at the same time, the truth be told is that Mgtow is a loose philosophy. I mean, a Mgtow can pretty much be anyone. You can say you don't want to associate with those kinds of people, you know, because there were a lot of types of Mgtows I didn't want to associate with. But who the hell are you to say that they're not Mgtow?
Look, the problem is...
Well, because they're not Mgtow.
You know, the thing is, the problem is when you got fucking guys like Dean Esme saying he's going his own way, but yet he's married, there's a problem. There's a fucking problem. There's a problem. How can a married man say he's a Mgtow? Seriously.
Yeah, there's still certain bars that we achieve for here. There's this community here is what it is. We're not marrying. We're not doing those things. We're not dating up to. We're not falling into traditional practices that lead up to marriage. And that's remove the simping, remove the white knighting, remove all that garbage, and quit being apologetic for women. You're always going to have guys around here that are angry about that. Let them speak, I say. But if that traditions are leading back to, you know, the matrix is what we call it, or the blue pill world, we got to call them on it.
You mean like you guys came after me?
Yeah, can I jump in now, please?
We didn't come after you. You left.
Can I jump in now, please?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Vern.
Regarding masculinity and for men that are coming into the Mgtow community, for me personally, this is the only community online that I have found that actually affirms masculinity. Not that anybody's requiring me to be more masculine or anything. I find that there's a good camaraderie here that fosters this in each other, okay? Now, hold on a second. Now, look at this guy, Journey. He's been here for, what, a half an hour, 45 minutes. As God is my witness, everything that's come out of this man's mouth, is it not like listening to some nagging, estrogen-driven wife or girlfriend? I'm being honest now. I'm not trying to ad hom the man. I'm being very honest. Listen to the way this guy jumps from one goddamn subject to the next, never really coming to a full conclusion of anything. He's illogical. He's irrational.
Yeah.
Go watch my video on the masculine mind. I define the feminine mind for everybody. This is the kind of toxic thinking that we're trying to avoid by going our own way from women. But gentlemen, I got news for you. There are men that are just as feminine and toxic as women. Okay, now we're not going to marry them, so he's not posing a danger to me on that level. But for him to come into a context like this and inject this female-driven, illogical nonsense without being checked is ridiculous. And that is exactly what's happening to him now. He's being put in his place, as he should have been years ago.
Okay, hey Nico, do you have anything to say?
Well, I only caught the end of that, and one thing that I agree with what Journey was saying was that we haven't defined Mgtow very well, and I tried to define it. I really did. I released a video trying to define it, and I wasn't actually taken very negatively either, although I thought people would come after me with spears and, you know, try to kill all of my opinions. But I tried to do that quite clearly. And yeah, there is definitely a problem with the definition of Mgtow and the direction that we're taking. That I agree, but I think the freedom that we allow people to have in their lives in order to define their own masculinity and their own version of who it is, to be, you know, their version of a man going his own way, I think it's very important, and that's why we do this, right? That's why, I mean, many of the videos that we release sound very vague, and they are intentionally vague because I cannot tell someone word to word how to live his life. And I mean, I released a video which he judged when I said, you know, let yourself go for a month, right? That's all I said. Let yourself go for a month. How difficult
Nick,
is that?
Oh, I just want to say something. The problem is the actual acronym of Mgtow is rather ambiguous, isn't it? Don't you think? Man going his own way, or man going their own way. It's like, well, okay, I'm getting married, so therefore I'm going my own way. Oh, okay, I'm a male feminist. I'm going my own way. Oh, I'm doing this. I'm going my own way.
Well, that's what
It's ambiguous.
that's what we're saying. It's not a man going his own way. We're working here in a collective. It's men going there. They're all plural. It's a plural statement that we have to work together as a group to get this done. But go ahead, Nico.
Sorry, I'm just reading a comment. It was James Denton. It says, if not taking showers, smelling like an animal is the only and primary definition of masculinity and being a man, we might have an issue. Personally, I like showering on the daily. Same here, man. I have to. Patients can smell my armpits from a mile away if I don't shower. Right? So I understand that. And I didn't tell people to not have a shower or not be dirty. What I said to people is that we have all these people all the time telling us how to define ourselves, how to get dressed, how to shave, how to be, how to exist. Right? There are all these unwritten rules that no one really tells you, but it's the status quo of being in this, let's say, presence, right? How to present yourself. And does it matter to you that you have hair on your face? Does it matter to you if you smell a bit more? It doesn't necessarily matter to you. And what I said is give it a go for a month, right? Give it a go. Look at yourself in the mirror and see how the history of mankind, like men were before you. And we're talking about like prehistoric men and stuff like that, that they got by and they lived in the hardships. And you'll understand how you were designed for that environment. It makes you come in contact with who you were supposed to be in a way. Yeah, it gets in touch with the
second stage of masculinity.
Yeah, it's a way, kind of like the animal side of you in a way. But it's I don't want people to do that all their lives. It's impossible to do that all of your life. And do I sound like I don't shower all the time, like, or I don't keep myself clean more or less most of the time? But it is something that I think at some point all men must go through. Kind of like turn all your boxers inside out, right? Go commando. Go become a bit filthy. Why does it matter? Smell a bit, stink a bit.
You know, it you know, puts you. It makes you know, it's like you know, getting in touch with your primal side, isn't it? When you're
Yes.
like not
Yeah.
showering as much, you
Yeah.
know, we got a primal
Let's look
animal.
at that. Let's look at that in the Movember. Movember is coming up now. Now, the first thing they're going to ask men to do is shave their beards off, and this is a media narrative. Shave your beard off and grow it to through
Mustache.
November. Yeah, shave your whatever shit you got on your face. Shave it off. They're pre-asserting in a narrative that you have to have that clean look to start off with, and Mgtow saying no. Let's start with that. Just let your beard go and take a look at yourself and see what a real man's supposed to look like.
You know, here's the thing. You're talking about what a real man's supposed to look like, but at the end of the day, if you're a man who it's supposed to be about freedom and the freedom to do what you want to do. In other words, the freedom to groom yourself accordingly, or the freedom not to groom yourself. The freedom to pretty much do whatever you want. It's like saying that you're defining these so-called standards. I understand exactly where Nico is coming from, but it's like the so-called collective. I don't think Mgtow seem to understand that the power of Mgtow will come from not the men who call themselves Mgtow, but the many men who simply don't, but simply go their own way and choose to do what they want to do. And if they want to go and have a fucking manicure, they should be able to.
But Journey, the problem is, you know, going your own way. It's ambiguous, you know. Like I said before, with the example of the male feminist going his own way,
Right.
it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you can't go your own way and take on feminist qualities.
You're talking about going your own way without being a part of the so-called collective or adhering to any other standards that men set for you.
Yeah, I understand. I'm not saying. Well, the thing is, you're misappropriating my point. I'm pretty sure what Traversable meant to say by saying real men is kind of like the cavemen that were in the caves back then. Right, and this is what he's trying to say, that at the end of the day, you're bigger, stronger, etc. You need to be aware of this. I'm not saying go out and beat the shit out of people. Don't grab women from the hair and pull them in your cave and fuck the shit out of them. I'm not saying any of that shit. I don't understand why we're having a trouble grasping this concept. And I mean, I run multiple experiments on myself, and this is an experiment I run from time to time on myself just to get me slightly more grounded, and that's all I'm trying to tell people. Do I think that the guy who goes and shaves his beard off is not a man going his own way? What the fuck? I never suggested any of that shit. Do I think that golden eagle owl who took a dump in the woods, and I've never done that, or wiped myself using what do you call it, a leaf, or not wiped myself at all, is more of a man going his own way? No, I don't even believe that. Do I think it's more manly? Possibly I do think that, because it's impressive to wipe yourself clean with a leaf. But I don't really think that. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here?
There are certain standards to masculinity too, and we give out advice on that all the time around it. That's what the health, we do that on health. If you're having problems with your testosterone and everything, and you feel that you're a little bit emasculated by society, I'm telling you, go get some go get some compounds and increase your testosterone. You know, if you're having problems with your health, go take care of that. That we're saying that perfectly in Mgtow. But what we're saying is, don't bring the feminine qualities in here and say they're masculine. If you're having a problem with your testosterone, go get some aspartame. Dark Knight has shown a very good way of increasing your testosterone. Start working out, doing that. That's the advice we give. This is fatherly advice I give. I would give to my sons. I look at this thing as, what advice would I give my sons? If they came to me and said, Dad, how would you work out? How do I become a man like that? I would say, let's you start working out, you get a proper man diet, remove those hormones from your body, take some aspartame, and grow the fur on your face. And you know what? The world will look at you differently. You know, the world will look at you totally differently. When you walk into a room, you will demand respect then. Mgtow's never going to be about homosexuality. Mgtow is never going to be about trans feminism or women going their own way or that. It's about becoming a man. And there is certain standards to becoming a man.
the problem is that, you know, in this kind of centric society, masculinity and being a man is defined by looking after your woman or being a white knight.
Right, it's defined by women.
You know.
Hence why I say get rid of the term masculinity and stop putting labels on everything. I don't know if you guys realize how many people are alienated, you know, by the term Mgtow, because you have different factions of Mgtow. So while what you're talking about is really great, Traversable, you do have Menginas going their own way. You do have different kinds of people. You have all these so-called fights, and you have all these so-called definitions of masculinity. A lot of guys say fuck it and simply do their own thing.
I
Yes.
don't know. Yeah.
Look, can I say that it's impossible to have an agreement on this unless we have a hierarchy of someone deciding what something is, and we don't seem to be the kind of people that will adhere to something like that. Then we're not going to have definitions that are agreed upon, not definitions that make any kind of sense.
This is the thing. This is one thing that men will always have trouble with. You know, compatibility. You know, there's a brotherhood, yeah, but women are very good at networking and working together, whereas men are unable to work together very well. Look at me and Journey. We conflict a lot. We don't like each other. So we're never going to be friends. We're never going to get along. But, you know, there's always some form of competitiveness between us men when it pertains to anything, especially women. So how do we change that? It's our biology. That's the problem.
Yeah, well, that's going back to making excuses for ourselves. It's our biology. It's natural. This just happens this way, and we do that with women. We make excuses for women all the time. It's natural. It's their biology. Blah blah blah. No, it's not. It's not natural. It's not biology. It may be just the way they act, but we have to apply the same rules to us. See, what we're saying, and what I've been saying a lot lately, is apply the same rules and standards that you would put, and apply those same rules and standards to yourself.
And I've made a video calling women not evil, right? And people are getting really annoyed at that. And I expected it. It's the third, fourth, God knows how many I've made of that, right?
Well,
that people, because I mean, how easy it is for me to say that fucking cunt, they're all fucking cunts, they're all fucking evil. That bitch did not suck my dick. They're all fucking evil, 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 evil cunts, right? Is that better? Does that make everyone feel a little bit better?
No,
all right, or
yeah, that doesn't. Yeah.
Extrapolate from the example of one individual to go to everyone else. I think my point of view is that either everyone is evil or no one is evil at all, and we need to start judging people as people, right? Judge everyone as a human being, right? If someone is being a cunt, whether they're female or male, right? I'm gonna call them a cunt.
Apply the same standards, right?
But Nico, the problem with you're saying that either somebody's going to be evil or not, the woman have the power to become evil. Man, we can't become evil. How can a man become evil to a woman?
Beat the living shit out of her down to a pulp.
Yeah, except beat her the living shit out of that. But the woman can basically take out everything that you work hard for and jeopardize all your life and destroy your life.
Yeah, that's dead.
And put you in prison. And she could take you in prison also.
Yeah,
accuse you of rape.
Yeah, the end result of that.
You go to jail. So.
Yeah, I'm well aware. The end result of that is if you beat a woman hard enough, then she's dead and you're in prison. If she uses her power, then she's well and you're in prison, right? Okay, I get that. Yeah, and do you guys think I'm having trouble grasping that? A woman carries a gun in every fucking room, right?
Yeah, she does.
Okay? And that gun is her femininity.
And a woman, don't forget, Nico, a woman could kill you and come to the court and say it was self-defense because you gave me a threat that you were going to do something against me. And we found out later on the guy never wanted to do something against her. Just the woman wanted to keep the child and kill their ex-husband or ex-boyfriend. That happens.
Yeah, of course it happens. That's the thing. That's my problem with having this kind of arguments. Because it happens once, right? Because
it doesn't happen once, Nico.
Of course it doesn't happen once. Of course it doesn't happen once. But the ratio of how much it happens compared to how many times it doesn't happen is astronomically like small. Do you understand what I mean? It's kind of like 0.00001%, like the people that will kill someone and then go to the court and claim that. There are many things that women do that we could, as men, perhaps deem as evil acts, right? But I said in that video, and I tried to explain this many times, our concept of morality does not come from the same place.
Yeah, Nico.
But Nico, just one thing.
Yeah, go for it. Everyone attack me. I'm expecting this.
Nico, the thing is, you're saying our complex doesn't come to say, I'm sorry, I think we could all agree as a man, if a man is proven that his kid is not, by DNA, that kid is not his kid, why is the court still telling to the man, you still got to pay 30 years or 18 years of child support, even though it's proven to the court that this kid is not yours? That's not a rare case. That's happening every day. That some man comes with a DNA and says, that's not my child, why are you making me pay child support?
Okay.
I'm agreeing with you here. Do you think I'm not agreeing with you? Do you think I don't agree that the courts are corrupt, that the courts are always looking for someone to pay? Do you think I don't agree with this? But the point is not that that woman is evil, or all women are evil altogether. Maybe you can call that woman an evil cunt. I don't give a shit. Or the women that have caused this damage. Call them evil cunts. Go for it, right? But what I'm saying is that you can't generalize to an entire gender, 51% of the population.
But do we take the perspective of look at this thing as a bar, and me and Nico have talked about this before. Look at it as a bar. Do we take the perspective of starting at the bar of ignorance, or do we take the perspective of starting at the bar of all women are evil? Which one will you be safer at?
All women are evil. Until she proves she's not. She's not, yeah. Exactly. Respect has to be earned. I don't give you respect just because you're a woman. That's another thing we've been taught when we were kids. You're supposed to give a woman respect. Why? Because she's a woman. Wow. Okay.
No, we don't do that. We start from the end of the bar.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting that. Of course, people would be better off knowing all these things, and that's where the red pill serves. But I will not generalize my views down to a point to change my message into a hateful message for no reason other than to make people distinctly aware that all the things that I've ever talked about before suddenly become untrue because I haven't said the word that a woman is evil. Every woman is evil. I expect people to have more common sense than this. I expect higher of people. I expect people to be more intelligent than this. And if we have to resort to simple arguments and simple distinctions like we're doing right now, generalizing all the time, then we will end up becoming a very hateful group.
But so when we're looking at the bar,
may I interject? Right.
Go ahead.
The concept of evil is subjective. Right? What one person might find evil, one person might find okay with the next. Yeah. So when we see a woman cheating on his cheating, or doing something that's amoral to most majority of people, majority of men. One person, or like some Mgtow will say, well, she's not evil, it's just her nature, So the whole concept of women are evil is kind of illogical, because if we believe that women are this certain type of, they have this certain type of attitude, or they have this certain type of nature, then why on earth are we using this term evil? It's their nature.
We land somewhere in between on that bar. And that goes back to the math. There's a certain level on that bar you need to be a Mgtow. That's about halfway down, about halfway point, where you understand that every prospective woman, it's like a lottery ticket. They're all winners until you scratch them. Every prospective thing, every prospective woman can hurt you, and that's a better understanding. It's already pre-assigned in Mgtow. As soon as you enter these doors, you got to understand that that's a pre-assigned position on that bar. What we seem to have lately is a lot of people flowing back to that other end to say, well, we'll give them too much leadway here, and then we got a slight disagreement in the middle of where that leadway is going to be.
Traversable, I want to say something. You just said when they enter these doors.
when you enter through these doors, right?
Mgtow is a philosophy, dude. You say when you say enter through these doors, you're referring to a collective.
It is a collective. We are, whether you believe that or not, and I know you deny that, it's men going their own way. We're a collective of men. And we're all doing this we're all trying to do this and come up with a better philosophy, or a better, and it's not even really a philosophy, because I will always say, too much pseudo-intellectualism will drive this thing into the dirt.
Yeah.
I want your Nico. I want your opinion on that, Nico, in regards to the concept of the collective versus the philosophy.
Journey.
What do you want me to say? What is the question exactly?
No, all right. Here is Traversable saying that basically to be a Mgtow you have to be a part of a collective. And I remember, and you know, before I left the community, you reached out to me saying why I shouldn't leave the community. But what I'm saying is that Mgtow is simply a philosophy. And how the heck can you call a philosophy of men going their own way a collective of men going their own way?
No, you had to take an action. You had to take an action to walk through these doors. You can go anywhere. We are not all inclusive here.
I think the time that you spend within the Mgtow community, especially when you're producing content or when you're discussing in the comment sections or when you're participating in any way, then you're participating in developing the collective philosophy of Mgtow altogether. That's why I didn't want you to leave. And I've actually released a video, I don't know if you watched it or not, about people quitting. And I told people to stop being ungrateful cunts and actually wish these people well in their journeys, right? And because at the end of the day, right, if you've taken as much as you want to take from this community, and if you're fed up of arguing with people all the time, which I currently am quite fed up of doing as well, and I've phrased that many times, then you can go about your own life and live your life, not in a collective manner, but as a man going his own way, right? You just take the knowledge on board and you apply it, right? That's all that is. And I don't believe in the concept of having free will and making free choices and any of that shit, because it's been proven time and time again that there is no such thing as free will. But there are many things that have an effect on our decisions, and the knowledge that you possess changes your point of view and the potential actions that you might take. That's why I think the philosophy, investing in this knowledge base that we call Mgtow, is a very important thing to do. And that's why I didn't want you to leave, because I don't know what was going on exactly, whether you were fed up or something like that. I really don't want people to leave. But I've been considering it myself many times.
I just like to say something. I know it's not part of the whole debate, but the whole homosexual thing, the whole pertaining to homosexuals on Mgtow, are we not, rejecting our fellow brothers by rejecting men because simply of their sexual orientation? Don't you think that's kind of hypocrisy?
Turk, I'll put it this way.
Okay.
I'm not going to use the word hate, but. And that goes back, I think Nico said it perfectly well. In other words, basically taking the philosophy and going your own way. There's a lot of people who reject homosexuality. There's others who do not. And that's when you start bringing in the concept of Mgtow collective, you start to sit down and say, well, basically, if you're going to be a part of this, either you're going to have to accept it or you don't accept it. Or these group of men, these group of wise men in this room are going to decide if Mgtows should accept homosexuals or Mgtows should not accept homosexuals.
Let me say something
jump in.
When you take on the homosexual perspective, or you take on the homosexual lifetime, you reoriented yourself to the gynocentric. You reoriented yourself to the feminine. No, that's not Mgtow.
I don't know. I don't see that. I don't see that.
I don't see that either. But I think that's besides the point, and that's a personal opinion. I think that every man, despite
no, that's not the personal opinion. That's the opinion of the LBGT society. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, but you know, there are homosexuals within, you know, a community that I know. A good friend of mine, JGG, that totally rejects the LGBT, you know, philosophy of, you know, homosexuality. You know, he's very masculine, you know,
Well,
and he's a
that's why
very
he thinks
intelligent.
yes, that's why he thinks he's allowed to be around here. But if you ask the experts on that, they're going to tell you reoriented your gender. What gender do you think he reoriented to?
Well, you can't.
I don't believe there is such a thing. Look. Right, because I have gay friends, I hang out with gay guys, and actually the beliefs that we hold as Mgtow, gay guys actually think they're very homosexual. That's kind of like the beliefs that they hold about women too. They're irrational, they're too focused on their looks, nothing like that. They don't have anything of any value to say most of the times. All these things are things that you can discuss with gay people all the time, and it's not a belief system that is not applicable to them, but I don't think they have that much to gain from it. Other than if you go to the very end of the journey where you're basically struggling with self-actualization, being your own man, etc., then you don't have as much to gain, especially from conversations that revolve around women, unless you have a certain woman in your life that has caused you damage, or whether you have a special interest in that. That's my logic behind that. But again, like with most things, I'm very open-minded, and my opinions are quite challenging for a lot of people.
Heartburn, you wanted the ring in there?
It is enough that homosexuals can be our allies, but it's just on a literal level. They are not men going their own way. It's not about whether there's a collective sitting around deciding whether they can join our club. They aren't men going their own way from women, from marriage, from having children. And to back up what Stanley was saying, women attached to this system out there that bolsters their position. This is not the strategy necessary for a homosexual. They can be our allies.
No, by the sheer fact that they're attracted to men, is that not like, you know, is that not the antithesis of gynocracy?
I used to say that gay men are the epitome of Mgtow. Right?
I think so.
They're the ultimate level of Mgtow. Anything that we have to fight against, all our instincts, all the male mother need bullshit, and all this stuff that we have to urge ourselves not to act towards, you know, helping women by default, etc. Right? They have it by default. They're born different, and they're acting as men going their own ways without any effort whatsoever. I don't think the content will provide them with anything, if anything.
Well, Nico, no, they have a sexual orientation. They are still I'm trying to look for the right way to put it. In other words, you're like saying that's the ultimate level because they have they're born with all.
Yeah, I meant it as a joke.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, I meant it as a joke. I don't think the ultimate level of being a Mgtow is to go and suck some guy's dick. I'm not saying that, right?
Should really make life easier.
I've heard the argument. I know someone who made the argument that transgenders and gays are the ultimate level. I've heard that before.
Of course, because it makes sense. It actually
because it's
makes
sarcasm.
sense.
It's irony is what it is. A lot of people don't look at that as irony.
We have to go so hard. You know, we talk about all these things. We create fuckloads of content. We urge people to move away from the gynocentric. They're away from it by fucking default. Do you see what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And forget the LGBTQRST, whatever the fuck their acronym is, narrative, and listen to actual people telling you their opinions. Go out to a gay bar, sit down with a guy, buy him a beer, don't suck his dick, and ask him questions, right? That's not difficult to do. And I hang out with them, and they're all awesome people. They're awesome people. They get women, they do everything.
Do you find that they take the default position of the woman's position as default as being homosexual?
No.
You don't find that they don't take that position?
Never. I've actually, no matter, it depends. Like as with everything, there are different types of guys. But I find with the majority of, even with gay men, the way that I talk says the things that they. Sorry, I just saw iMgtow's comment. He said Nico said hard. Anyway, I find with the majority of people that if I talk to them and I say what I'm thinking out loud, like these opinions that we share here, you'll find that they share them too, especially gay guys, because they have nothing to gain from, you know, trying to be nice to their female friends. If they don't like them, they can fuck off. They, you know, they're having fun either way. And that's for me, that's a Mgtow mindset that doesn't take any effort or any understanding or any studying or anything like that.
Yeah. They don't understand Mgtow from the conception, because they're never going to have to be they're never going to have to deal with it in a painful or negative way.
Yeah.
We are Mgtow because of the conundrum we're in. We realize it's best for us to go our own way, but yet we want women. That's why we're talking about this. If we didn't give a shit about women, there'd be no need for this community.
Absolutely.
We have no biological drive to go near them and to fuck them and to want to make babies with them. So we're strategizing the situation out there against our actual biological and urges. Yes.
Well, isn't that ironic? I mean, we care about women so much that we make a community of trying our best to, you know, subvert our, you know, subjugate our biology and stay the hell away from them. That's how much we care about them. That's insane, isn't it?
And that is what kind of a goddamn horrible situation we're in the West, with the way women have been propped up by the system and been lied to. They've been given an ideology of themselves that is not realistic, and they're dangerous if they adhere to it.
Well, you know, I've said this, you know, many times, that gynocentrism creates cash. You know, it's just a money spinner.
Yeah, they're sitting on a money making tool.
To them and they, but when you're talking about that, I mean, who are these them and they? These are other men.
Yeah.
But these are
the men in control, the people in politics. These are all just other men. These are not women. It's not women that giving you other women rights.
No. But
men
these
that
are
the woman rights.
We have to guard against white knights and simps, and we've got labels for those guys. We label them. That's one of the first things you learn in Mgtow. We have really serious labels for those guys. We call them white knights and simps and pussy beggars.
Amen.
Yeah, they're the same type of guy. Even if it happens to their life, they'll still come with the excuse if it was my fault. Even if you prove to those men you had nothing to do with it, the woman screwed you, they'll still come with the thing and say, no, it was my fault.
Yeah,
it was my fault. The woman was nothing to do.
Sorry guys, I dropped something.
You know, this is the thing. I mean, you know, women have this terrible lack of responsibility when things, you know, happen. You know, if you know, a situation arises that's, you know, a woman did something. Like, let's say, for example, if a woman committed a murder, she'll say, well, I'm a victim of circumstances. I was abused by my father. I was sexually abused by, you know, someone in my family. And then there's this narrative of, oh, feel sorry for this woman because she's been abused. But, of course, in this society with its double standards, when a man commits a murder, he's just an evil piece of shit.
Well, that's what we're saying around here. That's what the masculinity thing. That's what Byrne was saying too. We have standards around here. We label men. We label them wimps. We label them simps. We label them white knights, and that's a bar. You gotta get across that bar.
But then again, I mean, you know, to label them as simps and manginas without educating them, is that not misandric?
Oh no. We're not saying they can't get educated, but we're telling them what they are, and that's the man thing to do.
Can I say something on this misandric thing? Because there is a lot of hate towards men. Tremendous hate. Yeah, exactly, and it has forced us to move away from the herd of men altogether and try to go about things in you know, on our own terms, right? So I think the biggest enemy and the biggest enemy.
Can I say something?
Wait, let me finish it. I think the biggest enemy to all men who want to go about their own way, live about their own lives, uninterrupted by the system, free to do their own thing, you know, find whatever makes them happy and all that. The biggest enemy to these men of doing that are no women. Women will just forget about you and move on to the next, right? The biggest enemy for these men, and these men are us, the biggest enemy is other men.
Other men, yeah, that's why we simply talk about men around here.
Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, men are the arbitrators of their own destruction. That's how it is. We're a very self-destructive gender, aren't we?
Right,
Yeah.
that's what we're trying to put a cap on. That's what we cap here. There's a certain bar you have to get to in here, and if you don't, you're going to be attacked. And then if you're willing to defend that position, then keep on going with that position and defend it. But don't say that other people don't have the right to attack that position, because that's what we do here.
Traversable, you make Mgtow sound like Fight Club.
In a way, yeah. You know what? Let's talk about men. That's what we do. It's not from a point of view of tearing men down either. I want to make men stronger. I want men to be as strong as they possibly can. And if a simpish male comes around here and I attack him, I'm simply trying to make him stronger from a fatherly point of view. I care enough about him to tell him that. And I think that's what Byrne was trying to say to you. And I think that we care enough to say these things to men when you violate these rules that we have.
Violate these rules that you've established.
I haven't established no rules. Don't pull a Paul thing on me. I don't establish these rules. These rules it's just the way it is. We have, like I said, when you walk through these doors, you got to be step one. You got to be somewhere in the middle of that bar, or else you're gonna get a lot of guys not attacking you, but telling you no. It's a little different than what you see.
Well, I mean...
There is noise.
Sorry about that. That was me.
Okay.
Yeah, don't you think that there's a certain bar here that otherwise we're just but might as well be the same as every other single community?
Dude, look at this carefully. You start talking about rules and establishing a hierarchy, and then you have Diana Davison setting up a Mgtow meetup, where she, I mean, come on, man.
But Diana, she there's a different thing there with Diana Davis, and Diana respects the rules.
Diana does not respect the rules.
Doesn't she?
Diana recently said, this is how she put it: I cannot be a Mgtow because
she can't be a Mgtow.
Because I am not a man, but I am an individual, and Mgtows are individuals, and then there's the Mgtow collective, and then she begins talking about the issues of Mgtow. In other words,
that's a three-part statement.
Oh yeah, that's why I did a response video to her, and I was being sarcastic at the beginning. I said, "Thank God the M stands for something." Right?
Yeah,
the M in Mgtow.
She said she can't be a Mgtow, and she knows she can't be a Mgtow. And her next statement was she can support Mgtow, and that's acceptable. And that's what Byrne was saying about homosexuals can support Mgtow, and there's a certain bar there. If you look at it and say, no, I'm making a rule. Oh, no, I'm not really making a rule. It's just logic where it falls. And then she goes on to the third step part of her. How does she apply this, and how does she help out?
How does she help out? By leading a group and by saying that you need to go after your enemies. She specifically referred. She sent me a message, and I made a video about it, saying that Mgtow should be focused on fighting their enemies. Mgtow fighting enemies. Mgtow was never about fighting enemies.
But would you agree we do have enemies?
There are definitely people who stand against us, but the power from Mgtow came in by turning your back on a gynocentric society, by focusing on yourself, not by getting out there with picket signs and marching down the street, or by engaging them directly. That was never Mgtow. That was MRA.
That was MRA. Well, no. What MRA? What the split was in the MRA and Mgtow was we had a difference on the tone we were going to take.
Yeah, well, as the MRAs are failing miserably. They're not.
They weren't going to say what we're saying. They weren't willing to say, because you know why? Because people were telling us to tone it down, not say women are evil, not say this, not use swear language, not use harsh language. That's what they were telling us back then.
That's unacceptable.
Mgtow.
Well,
we can't be.
that's what I did, I guess, at the end of the day recently.
But
And
there has to be like a standard to be upheld in MGTOW. You just can't go and say, women are this, that, the other. You have to understand their nature and just try, to avoid, their bullshit, their shit tests, their manipulations, their exploitations.
How about this one? Because Traversable, you go to an interesting point. At one point, I did say I compared women to cockroaches.
Oh, Christ, yeah.
You're allowed to say, I never disagreed with you on it. You're allowed to say that because it's lunacy that people take that to a so harsh level that they would just. You're allowed to say that. Go ahead.
No, I'm listening to what you're saying.
I personally had a problem with what you said there, but I didn't care enough to make a reply. That's not the point. No one tells you that you're not allowed to say anything other than YouTube that will perhaps take down your videos.
Okay. Sorry, this was my problem for you to say cockroaches. Now, we have the BBC, you have the BBC breathing down your neck, right? The BBC is trying to interview MGTOWs, right? Now, let's say, what's that guy's name that was trying to, do a presentation on us? What was his name?
Reggie Yates. He's not trying. It will be released.
Right, but what if Reggie Yates, God forbid, went onto your channel and saw women are women are better than cockroaches or whatever? How's that going to be presented? That's going to make us look like we're fucking psychopaths.
No. He's showing his ignorance there because he can't understand that it's just a simple inflection, and maybe it's an angry inflection. But
I know, but you know as well as anyone else does that the BBC is a pro-feminist, Marxist broadcasting corporation, and they will do anything to put us under the bus.
Exactly. We expect that from them. That's what we came out after all is said after all that was said and done there, and I think Nika would agree. We agreed that we can expect that.
So even though you can't take that video seriously, that can still be used against us. Do you understand?
Yeah,
80% of America, 80% of the world is against us.
we know that, but it's like what would we be trying to present anyway if this documentary did come about? What would we be trying to present? Are we just indifferent to what we present, or
well,
what are we trying to present?
At the end of the day, that's why I wanted to go there and interview for this guy, so that I can just talk like a normal person and just express my views and explain to them why these beliefs have come to be rather than anything else, right? I'm not the censorship police. People can say whatever the fuck they want at the end of the day, and I never go flagging videos or whatever. I don't give a shit. Right? I expect the worst filth to come out of anyone's mouth at any given point, so it doesn't matter to me what they can say or not. But I thought when the documentary was taking place, especially when I realized that people were participating in it, we can at least go and express the views, perhaps of a person that has gone through this whole process, is not angry anymore, and is just talking as much sense as you can possibly talk to. So,
I think a man that, to be honest with you, I think a man that, doesn't have his, as sad as it to say that a man that doesn't meet his biological urges is always going to be somewhat angry because, we're born to create, to have sex. So, when you don't get it and you're rejected, of course you're going to be angry, it's just how it is,
Yeah, Journey, did you want to follow up on your thoughts?
No, I'll interject when I feel like it.
It's look, and the thing is that's on what Turk said, the last bit in specific, that the fact that many Mgtow are angry because you're not getting laid or whatever, right? If you're getting rejected, there is definitely an element of that within Mgtow, but I don't think that is entirely the reason why people are indeed Mgtow. Like, for example, I've never had any problem getting laid.
Thank you.
So that means jack shit to me, right? And I've never been angry in any shape or form. Still getting laid, almost like a couple of minutes ago, right? It makes no difference to me.
That's the problem. it is true to an extent that some MGTOWs are angry that they're not getting pussy. Unfortunately, that is the case, and that is what is being presented by, the general public if they're, looking within MGTOW. I mean, there's a Vice article about MGTOW, and you see this picture of this idiot that just has these, warning signs on him that says MGTOW, and it just looks ridiculous. It just makes
that
it.
guy actually reached out to me a while back, like after he did that, and the reason I made the video, like I was one of the first people to make that video. He actually reached out to me and asked me to put that out there, and I know like a lot of guys gave him flack over it, and I was on the fence over that because I didn't really support the whole picket sign thing.
The thing. This is the thing. This is the sad thing. Males, when they don't experience sex or they're virgins, they're shamed for it. And who are the ones that shame it the most? It's men, other men. That's the sad thing. Other men shame other men because of their because they might be gay or they know they're virgins. Now, is that not misandric? And most men do that more than women, let's say.
Yeah, they're projecting their masculinity through getting pussy, and I just call that a pussy beggar.
That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable.
Yeah, and they're telling me I have to do that? No, not around here. Not in Mgtow. We don't do that. We don't project our masculinity through getting pussy. And most of the time, most of us have worked through that problem, and that's what we were saying. They're the ones that are telling on themselves.
Well, exactly. I mean, this is the problem with men in society. They validate themselves through the fact that they have intercourse with women. Now, me, do I enjoy having sex with women? Of course I do. Well, not of course. That's a bit generalization. But I personally, I enjoy sex with women. I do. That's my thing.
Okay, Turk. You know what? You like to call me on my so-called bullshit, dude.
Oh, wait. Oh, God, here we go. Yeah, go on. Go for it, Johnny. Go for it.
Yeah, let him have his space.
How many women have you had sex with? Let's put that one.
Oh, okay, I admit. Only twice in my life. Only twice in my life.
Who were those women?
Huh?
Who were those women, Turk?
None of your fucking business.
Well, isn't that the point? It is none of anybody else's business, and I can tell you over my lifetime, over 43 years here, I probably had sex 10,000 times.
Can I ask?
But it's none of nobody's business.
Yeah, can
and
I ask?
It's none of those blue pill people's business.
What is the point of someone saying, I've had sex 1 billion times, 1 time, or 0 times? What is the difference, right?
Is it trying to posturize? Is it trying to posturize? Are you validating? Are you trying to say you're more of a man than me because you've had pussy 45, 50 times? What's that trying to? What does that say about you? What does that say about you exactly?
That's what they're trying to do, and that's what we're complaining against. But then it generates into this kind of conversation where we're fighting with each other over that. And what we're really talking about is them laying a little shame on us about them validating themselves through pussy.
I don't validate. I don't, judge someone's character or judge anyone based on who they have or how much they've had it. I like sex because I like sex, and I like it with women, and it's hard to control my biology. When I see an attractive woman, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna think, wow, damn, I wish I can fuck that.
Now let's talk about this.
I think that I think it's a bit hypocritical, Turk, the way you're acting right now, because you're talking like you're a man in such control of it. You've had sex with 2 prostitutes. And
yeah. Oh, yeah, you see, pejorative again, Journey. You never liked me, man. You never liked me. You're an idiot.
Am I lying? Am I lying?
No, you are lying. They were not prostitutes. You're always making a pejorative towards me. That's your problem. And you call brotherhood, but yet you call me a child molester. You're a fucking asshole.
This is what I'm talking about here.
Can we stop?
This is why we don't.
Kind of thing?
This is why we don't talk about these sort of things in here. This is why we don't talk about females. This is why we don't use the F word. This is why we take an asexual view around here.
If we're going to argue something about a certain point, can someone's dick size not come into the conversation? Because, okay, yeah, I have the biggest dick around here. Can I just... can my views be more worthy than everyone else's? What the fuck is wrong with you guys?
No, it's not me. It's not me.
No, I'm not accusing you.
I know. I'm just getting attacked here. And I'm just thinking to myself, well, what's this guy's problem? He's never liked me. He never has. He's been jealous because of that certain woman.
Yeah, that's why we don't do this around here. That's what I'm saying. It's why we don't say the F word. We talk about men, and we talk about men's health, and we talk about uh, uh, a certain masculinity, and that's it. We end it there because this degenerates, and this is what they do. This is what they hope we will do: degenerate into their blue pill mass.
Now, you're so gynocentric, Journey, that
Oh,
you
no.
he is.
Let's not start a back and forth, right?
Yeah, let's move the
Let's not
conversation
start a
forward.
back and forth. If you guys want to fight it out, call each other cunt in the comment sections, right? There is a section on the right side. Just call each other whatever name you want to, but let's not do that, right? Please, not for any reason, because let's try and address the points that we're discussing without any dick measuring competition or contest or push-ups or whatever the fuck people want to measure their masculinity against, right? We don't do that kind of shit.
Okay,
Absolutely,
let's talk about peacocking. That's what's happening, and it's perceived in Mgtow as wrong. We don't peacock against each other. We don't spread out our wings and show who's got the biggest wings around here and everything. And it goes back to evolutionary genetics and everything. And it's hard to get over these things as men. How do we get over these things as men when we stop peacocking, when we become Mgtows and we start respecting our brothers?
Well, exactly. Respect. As much as I dislike Journey, I don't wish him any ill will on him. When I found out he was ill, I was saddened by it. Because it's not nice to be ill. I don't want him to feel any pain. Why would I? At the end of the day, I wish every man well, in their journey through life. I'm going through my journey through life. I've recently stopped, taking antidepressants, and I'm going to, build my body and getting healthy. I'm eating porridge every morning, going to the gym and helping myself. I don't wish any ill will on people. Why would I? I'm too much focused on myself.
Let me tell you something.
Oh.
What?
Let's not do dick measuring content, right? Let's hug it out and make love and not war.
I wasn't
Okay.
I wasn't going there, Nico. But
Okay.
what I'm saying is this, you look at the nature of how just like how things can break down here in Mgtow, and you think about it, like you have a group of men arguing, discussing, but there's a lot of arguments going on. What is Mgtow? How should Mgtow behave? The concept of masculinity. You go back and forth, and then so many men spend so much time here on YouTube or discussing what Mgtow is that you end up not really living the philosophy or not really living it the way you choose to live it. I mean, like I said, I had my, and I know heartburn. Yeah, you don't give a fuck. I get you, but listen, I had my.
What does that mean? What do you mean I don't give a fuck? Excuse me, Turk. Stay out of this, please.
Well,
what do you mean I don't give a fuck?
Listen, let me finish. I had my near-death experience, and it hit. Like I was sitting there waiting to get my test results, and it was one or the other, and I was in really bad shape, and it hit me like I'm here. We're here fighting, arguing over feminism, gynocracy, all this shit, and I could be dead in any minute. I kept on thinking about that. That fucking grade table that they tossed the bodies on, and it's like I start to realize, we're not. How can you really live the so-called Mgtow philosophy when you spend all your time discussing it? Isn't it simply about just living your life for yourself and simply truly going your own way? I mean, guys, you have such a luxury to be able to sit here and argue with each other about Mgtow right now. But you don't really realize that life is so short that it can be over. And is this the way you really want to spend it?
What the hell are you talking about? I spend all my time online. What the hell does that got to do with anything? I'm sitting here Sunday morning talking to a bunch of men about a lifestyle that I happen to share in.
You don't understand what I'm saying.
Of course I don't understand what you're saying because you're not saying anything.
There are so many men who spend all their time wrapped up in defining masculinity, defining Mgtow, defining all these other aspects without actually going out and living their lives, actually making any changes. I mean, this is at ground zero. Men waiting for the world to come to an end. I mean, and people are listening right now, but they don't realize that there's like an ugly nature of Mgtow. There's ugliness in Mgtow.
There's ugliness in human beings.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
In general.
No, no.
What?
And nobody comes in perfect into Mgtow. You got all kinds of weirdos coming into Mgtow. Human beings are fucked up.
Yeah,
It's not Mgtow particularly. Give us a break, would you?
Yeah, this brings up a good point. If you would have looked at my life 5 years ago, and then you look at my life now as a Mgtow, and I applied all the Mgtow things to my life's great. My life's perfect. My life's about as perfect as it gets for a man. Just because I've achieved that, I'm not going back to that drama and all that bullshit. I'm just saying from a point of view, apply these things, and I can stay around here. I don't have to leave. I'm a pretty good example of how to take your life and take it from ground zero, where you were very sick, and I understand about being very sick. But that wasn't the focus. The focus was always on getting to where I am now, and that took a simple measure of about 5 years. If you apply these things, they're going to work. And stay in the community. That's what we're saying. Stay in the community. At a certain point, you'll be able to look back and say, okay, I see 10,000 men around here that had the same problem I had, and my life is fixed now.
Yeah, I mean, when it pertains to, MGTOWs, there's something wrong with MGTOWs. Well, there's something wrong with humanity. Humans are fucking flawed. We're a flawed, species, you can't expect one ideology, you can't expect, like, a philosophy to be perfect when, it's crowded with people that, have issues themselves. We have alcoholics, we have, guys that, have mental issues. I had mental issues. Right. People that have experienced terrible heartbreak from women, men that have gone through the meat grinder, that is the family court system. You can't expect, an error or two in this, philosophy.
Right.
Doesn't
I
work.
think the issues themselves are secondary to the to Mgtow. They're if you apply Mgtow, the issues are going to go away. And when you come around, and when I see a lot of men come around and they're trying to explain the issues that they're having, we have cures for those issues. And a lot of us want to share those cures for those issues, but if you're going to live there having those issues, then there's nothing more I can do for you. There's nothing more I can do for any man. 4-stage Mgtow is eventually the cure. I would suppose that Byrne would agree with me, and a lot of people would agree with me. Once you get there, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with once all of you younger guys are going to grow in 5 years? What are you going to do in Mgtow after you've gotten a cure? Are you going to leave, or are you going to stay around and give back what you receive freely?
Oh, and I want to hear now, and that's what I want to touch on, dude. What the hell did I receive from Mgtow? Because you brought that up, that I took more from the community than I received. What the hell did I receive from Mgtow?
You received a gift. You received a gift from men that did a lot of studying, did a lot of research, and you received a gift of men that were brave enough to stand up to the gynocentric 10 years ago and say, enough is a fucking enough. And those men gave you a gift to be here right now.
Well, yeah, basically. And also a platform to, have your own channel.
Yeah. 10 years ago we were getting kicked off for simply saying silly, stupid shit. If I disagreed with a woman slightly, I got my channel taken. This is my 4th channel. I never gave up my channel. I got 4 channels taken down. Now we're allowed to speak about these things in here. You know who did that for you? Those original guys did that for you by being brave, by being courageous, by staying around. When I see guys in, it's that cows going their own way thing. When I see guys coming around and giving us the finger on the way out the door and saying, you didn't receive nothing here, you received a lot. You received a red pill education.
Well, put it this way, I'm very thankful for Mgtow in the respect that, I'm no women's bullshit, their manipulation, their mind games. I'll tell you something. I was very much blue pill before, getting to know Mgtow. The first, I was fooling myself. Oh, women are just these puritanical, things. They're, the victim of being weaker, the weaker sex, and all that sort of thing. But as soon as I turned on to man-woman myth, my God, my eyes were open for the first time.
Right, we all say the same thing when we hear that for the first time. It's that, oh my God moment. You're thinking the same thing I was thinking, but I wasn't allowed to say that. Them brave men, and I can attest to this because I've been around a long time. We used to have 1,000 blue pill white knight Christian manginas or whatever the fuck they were, giving us death threats if we even spoke up because they felt so threatened. Their paradigm was so threatened. But what happened here is we're busting down that paradigm a little at a time. We're busting it down, and we need men to keep saying these things till eventually all their ideas are broken down.
Traversable, keep in mind that a lot of these men had jobs, have jobs, and what if they got doxxed and they were fired for their views on the opposite sex? They were risking a lot through that. They lose their job because,
That's an excuse. It's an excuse.
Yeah, but it's still their livelihood.
That's an exception to the rule.
Don't you think that I gave a lot to Mgtow?
Well, what, to me, in my opinion?
I don't know. I don't care about your opinion, Turk. I don't like you. You don't like me. But Traversable. I put out a lot.
Do I think you gave a lot to Mgtow? Yes, I think you were giving a lot to Mgtow, but I think you forgot. You forgot what it was all about, and that's so easy. When you're taking a medication and you start feeling better, do you stop taking the medication?
Well, no.
No, you continue taking the medication. You stop taking the medication.
Dude, how can you say that I stopped taking? I simply walked away from a collective. I didn't walk away from a philosophy. But you're basically putting it like me, Neo, all the other guys who walked away.
Okay, why are you back then?
What?
You're back.
No, I'm not back. I can't. Dude,
you are back. You are back. So you're telling me is you need a little more. You need a little more of that red pill. That's what you're telling me right now. And that's what I'm trying to give you because I like you enough, because I love you enough as a brother. I want you to stay around and get more of that red pill and keep taking your pills.
That red pill almost killed me, bro.
That's what it does sometimes. When you come to that point, and that's what we say around here a lot. The red pill is very difficult to take, and man, you got to work through that. And once you've worked through it, there's something to be gained from it.
Yeah.
We see a lot of men commit suicide when they take their first red pills, don't we?
Well, unfortunately, recently, if anyone has watched Ted Flynn Monkey's latest video, a poor young man, 17 years old, committed suicide because he was falsely accused of rape.
Yeah. Well, guess what happened to him? He realized what the world was like, and so he committed suicide. Just think if that young man would have made it to Mgtow. You think he would have committed suicide?
Everyone, everyone's different, but I don't think so because he'd be more, on the know.
Nico, do you think if that young man would have made it to Mgtow, he would have committed suicide?
What? I heard Nico. What?
Nico, Turd Filling a Monkey just gave an example of a young man that committed suicide because he got falsely accused of. Do you think that man had any Mgtow in him? Do you think if that man made it to Mgtow and talked to us for a couple of weeks, do you think he would have still committed suicide?
I cannot say with 100% certainty, but I think he would have had a better chance.
He would have had a better chance. We would have gave him a chance in life, and that's what we give around here. We give a chance. And
well, yeah, you give a chance to men that are at their tether. I mean, that's how it is. Men that at their limits. And when they find Mgtow, there might be something to grab onto. And to still have this perspective and say, what. I don't need to chase pussy. I don't need to, kowtow to anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
we all
can live my own.
if every producer here walked away and said, "I'm going my own way," what would we have? We'd have
Exactly.
nothing to give. There would be nothing more. In that
We'd
in
have men
itself,
living the philosophy.
Yeah, so no, but Journey, you stopped producing your content, which in turn helped.
you help somebody. You know that.
So instead, it was rather your videos. You probably thought your videos were just an exercise to exercise your red pill rage instead of helping anybody. It was for selfish reasons, quite frankly.
Okay, you know, here's a funny
I don't
thing.
know if I believe in that. Yeah.
I don't believe in that either.
When I was active as a content producer, I made videos talking about men who needed help. I put together videos to help men in need who had been bastardized by the court system. And I'll tell you something funny about that. I reached out to different Mgtow saying, "Hey guys, could you make a video to help this guy? Because to do his GoFundMe." Not only Cassie and Feminism was the only person who made a video saying, "Hey guy, could you help this guy?" So you talk about a Mgtow collective of men helping men, and see, oh, we're not here to comfort each other, or we're not here to this and this, we're just here to feed information. But at the end of the day, what is Mgtow really doing?
Oh, I'll tell you what. No. I hear this.
Okay. No, Journey. I want to say something, guys. I want to say something.
Let me talk for a second. Does anybody know what I do here in this house? Do you know
I do.
that young man? Do you know that young man that just said he didn't have a house down in Cincinnati? That John the other, and he came back this week and said he got into that same position. You know what I said to him just 2 days ago, just yesterday? Come here. You have a room. I have 3 beds for men anytime they need them. That's what I do. That's what I do here in this house. It's my activism. It gets taken so lightly around here. It gets taken so lightly, like I'm not doing nothing. No, I'm the guy that is doing something.
Can I say something as well, guys?
You're applying to it in reality. You're applying it in real life, Traversable. That's the difference, man.
Well, also, guys, I mean, we have to look at things all together. For example, like, the only person that's growing right now and is actually creating any kind of like content all the time is Sandman, right? We say ugh, but what he does is he runs his channel as a business and he gives people what he wants, right? I don't believe Mgtow is about that. I believe Mgtow is about guys expressing their own points of view, irrespective of what the conclusion might be. People should support each other about the person who is expressing his views, right, and about the thinking abilities of that person, whatever that person might be and whomever that person might be, right? At this point in time, he's making a lot more money than any of the content producers, right? Possibly combined. I have no idea, right? Because I'm not making any money on that aspect, right?
So he's making more than you're right in the ballpark. You're right in the ballpark. I can tell you that for a fact.
Okay, so if this is the situation as it is, right, then the whole, let's say, Mgtow community, especially as we're finding out by having our chats every now and then, is that it's a community where people will argue from time to time. A person loses an incentive after a year, 2 years. I'm surprised, like, Stardust and Barbarossa are still around, right? Especially when there is no incentive for you to do it anymore. Because if I can say for a fact that right now I've gained as much as there is to gain from this knowledge base, right? And you can give back in terms of like covering new ground, reading research papers, reading books about things and all that stuff. You can do that and you can cover new ground and you can reach your own conclusions, but your conclusions need to not be based upon a narrative of a certain individual, right? Whatever the individual who's sending you money, for example. So the community in itself, despite being small and despite being so vocal about so many things, is not supportive of any of the content producers, especially the content producers that are actually, been around for ages. right? I'm not asking for money because if I ask you guys for money, I'm not going to make any money. And number two, if I ask you guys for money, it will feel like I owe you guys something, and I don't want to owe anyone anything, right? So, and plus I can just work a couple of hours and make a lot more than I would, and even by asking money. But at the end of the day, right, you, as a community, we need to be a lot more supportive than we currently are. And we're not supportive of everyone. Not everyone is a doctor or, you know, working and making 100 grand or 200 grand or whatever. Not everyone is comfortable, and not everyone has the time to sit around, research for 5 hours, 6 hours, and put together a video, right? That takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And blog posts take a lot of time and a lot of effort.
Right.
And people here, a lot of the people that are commenting on my channel and other people's channels, etc., they're entitled. Like, they feel entitled, like this is what they deserve. This free content should be what they should get all the time. And that's simply not the case. No one is entitled to anything, right? No one is entitled to shit, right? People need to either support people, maybe mentally or whatever, I have no idea, maybe financially when it comes to it, maybe support worthwhile projects, right?
Yeah, but
And
you know, the thing is, it's up to you to make the content. You know, why would I have to finance, you know, what you're doing? You know, it's up to you whether you make content still or not.
You know, it's easy for you to talk, Turk, and run your mouth when you don't know what it's like.
Shut the fuck up, you fucking asshole.
Make content.
Shut the fuck up, you fucking prick. Go
Okay, let's stop now. Okay.
Stop. Okay. Okay. Calm down, guys.
Let's express a point of view that doesn't address someone personally, right? Whether he's mother or not his mother, right? Let that. Yeah. Can we make the assumption that I have fucked my mother, slept with my sister, sucked my dad's cock, and I have the world's smallest dick, and move on with this, right? Let's all assume that everyone is like this, and then let's just move on.
Yeah. Now. Yeah, you bring up some interesting points. We all do what we can do in Mgtow to the certain ability that we can do it, but we always ask for something, and we should ask for something. We should ask for a little more. What can we do a little more around here? What I do is just my little bit of little more. It's what I can do for the community. In the last 2 weeks, I've requested 2 men to come stay here, and both times they denied it. And then what it tells me is, okay, you don't need it that much. But it's not like I'm gonna stop offering it. And anybody from my community, and I have men come through here all the time. 30 days transitional housing is what I give. We can do that. We can do that in your own specific way. Think about what you can give back to the community that makes you feel good.
You know, that's, you know, the thing is, Traversable, some men will reject your offer of being kind and generous because of their pride. You see, some men have a tremendous amount of pride not to, you know, offer, you know, be offered like somewhere to sleep, you know. Maybe it's that respect. You know,
Yeah, that's what they got to get over. That's what we say around here. Let's get over this stuff. Let's provide a community. Let's become the system. That's what we talk about when we talk about patriarchy. I don't want to talk about all this patriarchy bullshit according to women. I want to talk about patriarchy according to men. Let's become the community we want to become. Let's do the things. Take these things active in our lives. Become the men that we want to become in this community, and don't worry about all that female bullshit. All that female bullshit will it'll just suck us into it. Mgtow's responsibility to Mgtow is to become the system, and we become the patriarchy. And we say we no longer need your system. That's what Going Galt is about. We no longer need your system.
Exactly. But, you know, Traversable, I do admire you, man. You actually, you know, walk the walk. You walk the walk, man. You know? You know, not to suggest that anyone else doesn't, but, you know, when you gave the example that you're, you know, allowing guys to come to your home and to sleep and to put food in his belly, you know, that's admirable, man.
Yeah, I've never complained once around here about not being the most popular channel
It don't matter.
not giving any money. You know, I've had the thing up the donate for a year, and I've never gotten one donation. So what? So what? I'll still continue to do what I'm doing because it's what I like to do. It's my Mgtow. That's going it's my Mgtow, and I'm doing it for the community. It's just where we all should get in our lives. And if you practice this for 5 years, I can guarantee you're going to be so much closer to your dreams than ever before. And that's just eliminate all that garbage from our lives, all that arguing, all that peacocking, all the silly women talking about what are we going to do to get laid. If you can't get laid, that's your reality. I don't want to talk about your reality. I want to talk about our reality and our system. And when you start adding to that system, when you start bringing something real and solid to the table, that's what I ask. See, that's when I say, when something is a true, apply it to yourself. When men around here start bringing something to the table, the same thing I'm asking women to do. Bring something to the table. And let's do it. Let's go forward.
And it's not just the content producers, man. It should be everyone in the community.
Everybody.
If you don't,
do a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, now as someone that doesn't produce content and can't really because of his computer issues, what would you say I should do to contribute?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Give a kind word.
Yeah, you do talk to people anyway.
Run around here all day long and say, "I appreciate you, brother. I love you, brother."
He does that, though.
Yes,
he does
that's
that.
perfect. You're doing what you're supposed to do. And Journey, you're doing what you're supposed to do too. Give what you can, and don't worry about all the. We're going to get 1,000 idiots coming through here. Don't worry about them. Worry about the community.
There are guys that come through my channel. I'm sure it's like this for all of you that produce content.
Yeah.
That I'm aware that don't make any videos at all, but they always have something substantive to contribute in comments. And I'm sure they're this way in just their general conversations with other Mgtow. I think that's quite significant in and of itself.
Oh yeah, not everybody's a producer. We have viewers, and that's what we're shooting at. All these viewers. I love my viewers. I have a very specific set of viewers that are generally guys my age that have been through exactly what I've been through and see things exactly the way I see them. It doesn't mean I'm representative of the whole community, but I'm gonna continue doing what I do and give my little part back.
Absolutely.
I think, man, this thing could be so beautiful if we just start networking and we start linking each other together, and then all of a sudden that homeless guy doesn't need a home because he's got Mgtow.
And let me say something else, right? I want people, because it's not just us poor little people who are barely getting by. Okay, I'm not like that, but it doesn't matter, right? It's not like that. If people want to contribute, they should put their money where their mouth is, and they should at least support the content producers that they like, or they dig their message, or whatever, right? It doesn't matter. And don't support people because you want a certain video out of them, right?
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't ask for shit, right?
Yeah, that's the Sandman thing. He gives a video back for that.
You know, guys, look, man. I try to, help people as I can. And listen, look, Journey, look, we don't like each other, but listen, if you was in a predicament where you needed help, I'd put my hand up and I'd put my hand to you and say, do you need help, brother? I would have done that to anybody. I mean, look, for example, a guy that's alcoholic, I won't name any names, right? He went through a lot of severe alcohol issues. Now, this person lives somewhere in England, but very far away. He's in Scotland. Now, what can I do? Now, I can link him articles to how to get rid of his alcoholism. I can talk to him in Hangouts about how this is damaging his liver and how this is going to, make him worse and worse. But that's all I can do. I can only talk to the man, and I can only link him things that make him, he will either take or he will discard. Now, that's the only thing I can do. I can't actually go to the person and help him, which is sad.
Turk, you're really fucked up for saying that, because I know exactly who you're talking about, and that you're just trying to pick on him right now. And you
Oh,
always
see,
do
there you
that.
go again. There you go again. You just don't like me. You just don't like me. You just don't like me. What is your problem with me? What is your problem with me? What has it been?
Well,
What's
you think you're so coy, dude. Yeah, I
no,
mean,
about what? Coy about what?
how
You've
about,
all,
how about you focus on taking care of yourself and helping yourself?
I have, and I'm, as you can see in my profile pic, I'm improving a lot, and I'll continue to improve. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Okay.
Are we done with that? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was going to describe anal sex with my father.
Oh man.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know what else to say.
Okay, that was a good one.
Thanks.
I can appreciate humor. Humor busts up. We don't have enough of that around here. Humor. Well, we do apply our certain type of man humor from the rest of the world. It looks rather coarse. But when you do see a humor video, boy, that just perks us all up, doesn't it?
Yeah, I put a humor video in the chat earlier that I thought was funny.
Yeah, that's what we need more of around here. We've seen that with was it the same Madman and the White Flower thing? It was humorful. It broke up a very tenseful period of time, and Paul added into that, and it was very humorful, and it helped. It stopped what was going on at that period of time, and what was going on was a lot of this arguing back and forth. We could do those humor videos. Oh, what was that? Devlin the comic. He's left too, and he had a lot of very comical videos and helped out in that way. But the goal here, I think, is to keep guys around, keep things happening, keep things light, keep things humorful, like Nico just did. Break that tension between us, and let's work on something. Work on make this community the best damn thing that ever happened to the world. And we can do that, but it comes back to my thing. You can't do it by walking away from it. You have to walk. At a certain point, that direction you're walking has to be into the fire. It has to be with fists clenched into the fire and ready to fight for this Mgtow thing. And each one of us should have that in them. With this, I would like to end this so it kind of ends on a palatable note and for palatability to listen to it in the future. But I'll keep the broadcast open so we can discuss things afterwards. I have to order a pizza for a football game coming up.
And it's not the actual football that you're talking about. American football is not football, man. It's just not football.
It's rugby with padding.
Yeah.
It's raw violence. That's what it is.
Oh no, sorry, for me it's got to be mixed martial arts. I watched it last night. Oh my god, it was awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, I like mixed martial arts too. But I do like football. I like seeing some guy getting hurtling two other men trying to get across it's real masculinity, and I wish they would stop wearing those pink things. Because that's about I've had enough of that.
Wait, what pink things?
The pink things they wear, the pink shoes they wear, the for breast cancer and American football now.
Yeah.
They do it in England too. I was watching a soccer game the other day where they're wearing a pink little. God, you know.
It's similar to like WWE. They always have like a pink rope in the middle to promote breast cancer awareness. But yet you don't get any prostate cancer awareness, do you?
Right.
Yeah,
no.
well, I don't think of it like a breast cancer awareness month, and just think of it as a healthy titties awareness month, right?
Something we all do.
Nico examines them for, he gets an extra shift to, examine more tits in October.
Oh, trust me, it's not nice.
Let's go around the room now, and does everybody want to give a summation to what they've learned today?
Well, I just learned to,
click out after you can click out, or stay around, whatever you choose to do, and just give a summation, and we'll wrap it up.
I'll say it. Look, I've learned that as a Mgtow, you should, this is my Mgtow. And everyone could say what your Mgtow is, but my Mgtow is to be ambitious, to stay healthy, look after yourselves, and, love one another as men, just go, by your own life, be happy, be healthy, and again, be ambitious, follow your dreams, because men that are in long-term relationships or are in marriages don't have that capacity to chase their dreams. They don't.
Well, who's next? How are we going about this?
Okay, I'll just do it for you. Nico next.
All right, so I'm gonna finish with the comment from my Mgtow. He learned today that I like to suck my dad's dick. And unfortunately, that will remain forever on the internet. No, in all seriousness, just oh God. Anyway, in all seriousness, just try to live your life as true to yourself as you want to, and happiness. Do not strive for that, but strive for contentment, or bearable discontent. All right, so I'll finish it with that.
Okay, how about you, Journey?
You can save me until the end.
Okay, how about Heartburn?
I've learned that I'd be a much better Mgtow if I could learn to stop liking pussy and start loving a big bag of dicks.
Okay, Mass Mgtow?
What I've learned is one, there's no avoiding internet drama, for
Yes.
one, and two, I'm just gonna let that link I put in the chat most recently, and everyone can see that. That's just funny. Just look at the comments and you'll see.
Okay. Okay, Zeta.
I just have one word. Perseverance, gentlemen.
Perseverance.
That's it. Perseverance.
Okay. Journey.
Learn that we all have choices in life, and it's up to us to choose which ones work for us.
Okay, with that, I'm going to end the broadcast. I hope all Mgtows have taken away something from this today. I've learned that we can argue, but as men, we all come back to working through our differences and being better for it. And this is what Mgtow is about, a place where we can go, a place where we have male space, a place where we can act like men, be men, love each other as men, and don't worry about what other girls are doing, because it's not important here. Thanks a lot, Mgtows, and thanks a lot for listening today, and I love each and every one of you.